Clobbering time, folks. Hey, welcome everyone to Clobbering Times. This issue number, 118 for YouTube, 818 overall. Almost 12 years. Next week will mark 12 years of me doing this silly stuff. Don't know why they haven't stopped me yet. but welcome, my good friends who are here tonight. Let's, of course, before we say some hellos to our good friends, hopefully more will pop in. We have some great ones already here. I want to say, of course, everyone, a big shout out to my wonderful first officer, the greatest first officer in Starfleet, the beautiful, the magnificent, the amazing RAQUEL Briggs. Thank you for being here, my friend.
I love you, Captain Clubby. You're my favorite person. And I would like to apologize to the chat for making us run late. I didn't get to talk to Clubby all week, so I was monopolizing his time backstage. We were just catching up with each other, and I lost track of time. So the entire thing is my fault. I do apologize.
Damn it, I was going to lie and tell everybody I had technical difficulty, which isn't really a lie. I did because I'm an idiot with all this stuff. But yeah, I did have some tech problems, so. But I was going to go and say, let's just lie to them. They won't care. Just kidding. I love you guys. I would not do that. Just kidding. Oh, my goodness. Love you guys. Great to see you all here. You're the best, Caroline. This is what I look forward to the most, folks. My Saturday nights.
Me too.
My first officer, talking some Trek with all you fantastic friends. And I appreciate you. I hope some more friends will pop in soon. Before we get started, I'll do some show notes. But before that, of course, please check out the works of literary content from my wonderful first officer, RAQUEL. Of course, you can find the link right there.
Thank you so much.
I always forget to do it at first. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I was able to remember it this time. I don't know, because you know how I always forget to do every damn thing.
No. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
Not a problemo. I'm so glad to do it. And let's see, we have some great friends here already with us. Show notes, of course, Monday night, Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk on Clobbering Times, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be joined by my filthy, low-life, disgusting piece of garbage. I mean, good friend Carlos. I meant to say good friend. He's a worthless piece of crap, but you all don't know that, so we'll pretend that I like him when he's on, because I've only known him for 30. Put up with him for 30-something years. Anyway, Carlos will join me. We will be talking about, our topic will be, DC and Marvel, are they really that different? And I'll be dispelling some ludicrous myths using some comic book history to talk about that subject.
I will be front row for that. That is something that I would like to be educated about, because there are some presuppositions that I know that you will be able to dispel immediately. So I will be front row for that. It is an extremely interesting topic, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on it, because I respect your pop culture taste immensely. And not just because it mirrors mine, but I am excited for that show. So, folks, make sure you stay tuned and put that on your calendar. That is going to be an excellent show.
I cannot wait. And I haven't had Carlos on in quite some time, and we have a lot of fun doing shows together. Of course, there's a link, everyone, in the description below to his channel, Comics Mania. You have to be able to speak Spanish, but, see, that's the only reason he even talks to me is because he lives in Mexico and he doesn't get to speak English to anyone but me. So
he practices on you. That's good.
Yeah, I'm the only one he gets to talk English to. So he talks about that a lot. Anyway, our fantastic friends who are here with us tonight are, of course, the great Lord Thoth.
Yes, LT. So good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. Avon Lives. And LLL, long live the Legion, my friend. Soon, two topics coming up soon for the Global Geek Gang in the not too distant future. And I don't mean next Sunday AD, like to say on MST3K, because it's a Thursday. But we're going to do a Legion of Superheroes show soon. Thoth, buddy, and we will be doing a Blake 7 show soon. There aren't many of us that even love or know Blake 7, but it just deserves some more love. And I know Retro knows it, and we got a couple of other friends out there that I've talked to. So Thoth, get ready for a Legion show. I'll make sure I do it when you can make it. And and a Blake 7 show, bro, because both.
He's so smart and so wonderful to be around. He's just so polite and he's educated and he knows his stuff. I just love it whenever LT is on a panel. I enjoy his company immensely, and he always has something important to offer. So I look forward to that as well.
LT's the man. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I really appreciate you, bro. The Phantom Outsider is here tonight. Welcome, sir. Always a pleasure.
One of the coolest names in social media.
I just love it. I love it. Absolutely. The great Steve Mitchum. What's up, buddy?
Yay, Steve.
All right,
These are
buddy.
the Steves I know. These are the Steves I know.
Yes. We love that. I love that, by the way. The great Eric K, Master of Wrenching. What's up, buddy?
I love you. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and thank you so much for helping us to produce this show. Your contributions here are they're so appreciated by Clobby and myself and this community. Thank you so much, Eric.
But I'm still not kissing you.
Yeah, don't do it, Clobby. Don't do it.
The wonderful Felicianos are here. Raymond and Sandra. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Rod Thunderheart, welcome, sir.
Rod Thunderheart, can I just say how much I wanted to thank you last night during Friday Night Frolics in a room full of several hundred people. This lovely person, this really cool cat who I really love a lot. He's such a great friend to us, to everyone on this channel and in this community. Rod Thunderheart bought a sizable super chat so that he could express his love for this show, for your channel in particular, and he wanted Doomcock to read out to everyone, Overlord DVD, Doomcock, he wanted him to read out how much he wishes that we had way more subs and that we offer quality entertainment, and it was just a whole stream of incredibly kind comments. And I couldn't believe that he would do a shout out like that and pay for a super chat like that. So Rod Thunderheart, you are the man. Thank you so much, my friend.
I am speechless. I did not know that. I listened to a little bit of DC last night, but I was tired and I had to go do some other stuff. And sometimes I don't get into the chat, but I'll just sit back and listen. So I missed that. I had no idea. Rod, my friend, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you doing that. I am touched by you doing that. And I'm sure my good buddy Doomcock was more than gracious to read that.
Do you know what he said in return? He said, I have heard wonderful things about that show.
Oh, about our Saturday night show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, isn't that lovely? That. And Sandra Feliciano, the great Sandra Feliciano, sent him the URL to pop in tonight. Now, he doesn't normally engage in social media on Saturdays because that's his, I just streamed 6 hours the night before day. So he just relaxes. But he might stop by and lurk. So if you're out there, Doomy, we love you.
Okay. Well, and of course, Phantom Outsider says that he said he might be listening. He couldn't, might not be able to do it live. Well, if you're ever hearing this on another, on a rebroadcast, or re-listen or something like that, DC, love you, buddy. Yeah. You've been a good pal to me. Doomcock, we love you, man, and we appreciate you, bro. He's been a good pal. He's a good friend to so many of us, and so we appreciate it.
True. Very true.
Oh, by the way, before I continue with our shout outs, I do want to thank the great Gary at Nerdrotic. I didn't have a chance to see this video yet. He did a new video, which was his WandaVision review video. And at the end of it, I'm told he gave a bit of a tribute or a shout out to our dear departed, wonderful friend, the great Mark C.
Yeah.
He mentioned him. I did not see it yet. I plan to go watch his video later. But I'm told that he did that. And I want to, Gary, I'll tell him tomorrow if I get a chance to talk to him. But I want to say, just a big thank you for that. Gary is a good dude, and I know he liked Mark C a lot, and I appreciate him for that.
Yeah.
So
really wonderful.
Thanks,
really
Gary.
Wonderful.
Gary is good people.
Yeah.
let's see. We have JT Kirk, a new friend, of course.
JT Kirk.
I like that name, JT.
Who also did a shout out about our show last night in the chat on Friday Night Frolics. So JT Kirk, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for supporting this show and this channel. Really, really appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you, JT. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I was putting my M in there. Let's see. That is just, you're too kind, sir. The great Canadian Spider-Man who does whatever a Canadian spider can.
These are the Steves I know. These are the Steves I know. Hi, Canadian Spider-Man.
What's up,
you were
Spike?
sensational last night in educating all of the Americans on the great comedy traditions that originate in Canada. I was so impressed with you last night. Great performance. It was absolutely excellent.
Absolutely. I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you so much, Canadian Spider-Man. Dude, and he's just a great pal, and you're the best, buddy. Great fellow Louisianian, Pat S. What's up, my brother?
Yes, it's so nice to see you, Pat S. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, like I told you the other day in that chat, I'm the only one in Louisiana that hates seafood and shrimp and things like that. So, so I promise you, Pat S., whenever I have it, I'll pass mine along to you. Yeah. Let's see here.
If you're not in the live chat this evening and you're just joining us as a podcast, I would just like to point out that the entire community is reaching out right now with M's in the chat, and that is for Mark C, who we lost, and we sure miss him, and we're thinking of him. So I just thought I should let you all know that.
Great, Mark C. What's up? The great Mark D with a C, who has been a fantastic friend of this show. He has a new channel now. As soon as I can find that, scrounge that link up, brother, I'll put it up there. He's just starting it out. And of course, he joined the Global Geek Gang Thursday and hung out with us. And I really appreciated that, buddy. He is a cool friend of the show, and we appreciate you, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to call him Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete!
Yo, Scuba Pete. My fantastic, longtime great friend, Ace Cast Iron, popped in a while ago. Yeah. Yo, brother. Appreciate you, man.
So good to know that you're out there, Ace. We better get those ratings later. Don't go too far away from your device.
Got to get some ratings from you, bro, as always. We're about to get started here. And so far, I think I've gotten everyone other than the great Dr. Hercule Monkey. I gotta stop that.
It's just so good. It's just so good. I just love it.
I gotta cut that out. Oh my goodness. Well, everyone. I do appreciate you all being here. Indeed, the great Mark C there. We're about to get started. We have 4, of course, episodes for you, and we have a little bit of tragedy because we're going to be getting out of the second season.
We are. We're going to break the seal, and we're going to enter into the third. And some good things happen, some not so good things happen, but season 3.
Oh boy, yep, that's true. That's true, RN. I lose about 10 years off my life. Yeah, I'm pretty much 90. Well,
great comment, Raymond.
I have 3 different ages. Chronologically, I'm not going to say what my actual age is, but mentally, I'm 12. Yeah, maybe more like 8. And then physically, pretty much 90. So there we go.
I love you just the way you are.
Oh, I'm glad somebody does, but maybe.
You're being modest.
Oh my goodness! I thank you so much, and I think we can. I suppose everyone who's ready to get started on some Star Trek reviewing tonight, folks. 4 episodes.
Could we please marquee the comment by Scuba Pete at 26 minutes past the hour? It just came in at the bottom of the scroll.
Hey, you're gonna have to take it with the rest of us, buddy.
And if you're just listening as a podcast, that comment is season 3 ellipses. Hold me, Raquel ellipses, and then hysterical laughter. So
yes, we're in trouble. Well, we got 2 episodes from 2, and then we're gonna be into 3 there. So
yes.
Mark the evidently tired. What's up, my brother?
Oh no, you must be exhausted.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, that's okay. He deserves it for naming himself that. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
This Canadian Spider-Man. Star Trek, bangs knife and fork on table.
Oh,
All right,
righty.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Stone knives and bear skins on the table. All right, everyone. We are ready to roll. We of course, we'll start out by letting you know the text from which my first officer will be reading from tonight, and it is that.
It is.
Proceed.
We use this text because there's a lot of lore out there, and there are multiple layers to Star Trek lore. And even in some published books, you're going to find incorrect information. And that's quite unfortunate. I vetted this book. I have a background as a professional editor. I chose this book. I vetted this book because of the nature of this book. So if you're listening on a podcast at home and you haven't joined us for the live broadcast here, the title on the screen reads Star Trek 365, the original series by Paula M. Block with Terry J. And I'm going to apologize to everyone. Did you know that I looked at his last name and I thought it was Errolman? This whole time I've been saying Errolman because the font makes it look like an O. It's actually Erdman. I saw it in lowercase, in not all caps, and it's Erdman. And of course, I discovered that because I was checking him out and making sure his credentials were good and so on and so forth. So we're using this book by Paula M. Block and Terry J. Erdman, and it was christened by DC Fontana. And so, of course, that would be the very nucleus of the creation of Star Trek. So this is vetted material you can trust. And this book is a great book if you like a little bit of synopsis and then a bunch of verified production notes or different trivia notes that may or may not be something that has been published previously to the public, or just to verify facts, what is real in our lore and what isn't. So that's why we've chosen it. Tonight, we're doing 4 episodes, and we're going to start with the Omega Glory. And the reason being is Star Trek 365 goes in production order. It doesn't go in broadcast order. And one of the reasons why we do that, of course, is because production order is very revealing. It's I'm pretty sure that's why Paula put the book in this order instead of broadcast order. It's very revealing behind the scenes as to what happened and how things developed on screen and behind screen. So we're going to start with the Omega Glory. And if you're following along, and a few people in the audience have a copy of this book, we're on tile or brick 255, 256. Season 2, episode 23 on your streaming service, but this is the production code 54, first broadcast on March 1st, 1968. And without further ado, let's get into it. Upon finding the USS Exeter hanging in orbit over the planet Omega 4, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam over to the vessel and discover there is no one aboard. No one alive, that is. The Exeter crew has been reduced to dust, the results of a virulent disease they've contracted on the planet's surface. And now Kirk's landing party has also been exposed. Unable to return to Enterprise, they beam down to Omega 4 and encounter Ron Tracy, the Exeter's captain. Tracy informs them that the disease will remain dormant if they remain on the planet. But Kirk's not satisfied with that prognosis, nor is he pleased to learn that Tracy has opted to provide advanced weaponry to one side in a fierce civil war between the planet's inhabitants, a serious breach of the Prime Directive. The Omega Glory arguably holds the inglorious title of the least liked episode of the original series. Gene Roddenberry hadn't expected this. In fact, his script was one of 3, along with Mud's Women and Where No Man Has Gone Before, that producers had submitted to NBC as a potential second pilot after the network rejected The Cage. One complaint cited by fans is that a society located so far from Earth couldn't have spontaneously developed along lines so historically similar to Earth, with names like the Yangs for Yankees and the Coms for communists, not to mention the Yangs possessing an American flag, the tattered old glory of the title, and the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. Curiously, the similarities of the Romanesque planet that the Enterprise visited in Bread and Circuses didn't bother them nearly as much. It's likely that producers assumed that the audience would draw the logical conclusion that the inhabitants of Omega 4 were descendants of Asian and American space explorers. But apparently, the viewers needed that information laid out a bit more explicitly, as it was in an earlier version of the script. So this is very important. There was an earlier version of the script that made a lot more sense. And so this was the dialogue. McCoy, Jim, the parallels too close. They seem so completely human. Is this possible? Kirk, the result of Earth's early space race? Spock, quite possible, Captain. They are aggressive enough to be human. So we see that Gene Roddenberry had included that. Total body water content in a human male is approximately 60%. In the female, 55%. So when Dr. McCoy tells Kirk that water makes up 96% of our bodies, he's a bit off by 36%. He'd be a lot closer if he were referring only to the water content of lean muscle tissue. As for the white crystals left behind by the dehydrated crew of the USS Exeter, he says, Jim, the analysis is this so far. Potassium 35%, carbon 18%, phosphorus 1.0, and calcium 1.5. The good doctor might have included 65% oxygen, 9.5% hydrogen, and 3.3% nitrogen, plus a plethora of trace chemicals. But he was close enough for TV. After all, he does say so far, implying that he'll do a more thorough breakdown once he's back in his research lab on the ship. Presumably, while there, he'll modify his original estimate of carbon content to the actual 18.5%. One can't help but think of that Gene Roddenberry was chiding NBC executives when he wrote the scene in which the Yangs think Mr. Spock resembles a painting of Satan. After all, the Vulcan's satanic appearance was the very argument those executives used when strongly suggesting that the character be excised from the cast while the series was still in development. But as the series progressed, Mr. Spock quickly emerged as the show's arguably most popular character. And what good producer wouldn't jump at the chance to slip in an inside joke when given an opportunity? And that's all that the blog text has to say on this particular episode. And before we give way to discussing what we think of Block's coverage and any infill from facts or factoids that we have or that the chat has, I should let you know that on the tile or the brick 258, 259, there is a wonderful depiction of the books of the book, from this episode, and it has a marvelous close-up sketch of the devil or the satanic Spock.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So what did you think of this coverage, Clobby? And the chat, what did you think of Block's coverage on this episode?
Well, first, a welcome to a newcomer that we've not seen before. I hope I'm saying this name right. Snortopupus Q Burr. Are you related to Raymond Burr by any chance? I like that name. I don't know what to think of, but I like it. Welcome.
Snortopupus.
Q.
I mean, that's just
Burr.
Golden. That is
like
golden.
Interesting coverage. I did not know about the previous. As far as I can remember, I did not know about the previous script or that any of that stuff. I didn't even know that it was considered one of the worst. Does that mean like by just people in general, or people in the staff didn't like it, or people or what? They're just talking about like a basic general fan circles or whatever. Or?
Well, I talk about it a little bit in my notes, but yeah, this is one of those very divisive episodes.
Okay.
So I cover it, I think, a little bit in my notes here, as
Okay,
I
that's
will
fine.
remind everyone in the chat. I
Gotcha.
pre-watch the episodes, but I don't pre-read any of this material.
No, that's
I
fine.
read extemporaneously, so sometimes my info overlaps with book, and sometimes it
No
corrects
problem.
the
I was
book.
just curious. Yeah,
No problem.
Keely Chow, welcome, and roll tide to you. Thank you for popping in. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah.
I say roll tide as a courtesy. I'm an LSU guy. We hate the Crimson Tide down here, but we still, as a courtesy, we say that to you, and we would offer you a mint julep, but we hate the Crimson Tide. So anyway, yeah, again, one of those things where this happens sometimes. An episode that kind of takes a lot of pounding, and I actually like this episode. I'm not saying it's one of the greater ones or anything. I like it. I think a lot of that derision probably comes from the way it ended up with a lot of that stuff when it's finally revealed, when most of the real parallels are revealed, which is relatively toward the end, I suppose. All the stuff on the Exeter is interesting, and I got to say that Morgan Woodward's performance, I think if I get his name right, formerly Dr. Simon Van Gelder, great actor, been in a lot of stuff. I think I'm of two minds on that. I love his performance as Ron Tracy.
Yeah,
is excellent. Then again, a starship captain gone really, really bad, gone rogues. At least this is probably, you can't really count Matt Decker. He was a commoner. He had problems, but he didn't really go evil or anything.
Yeah.
Ron Tracy went pretty bad. He did a lot of evil, horrible stuff in this one.
Yeah.
So I guess that's fine. Again, you can't have everyone be perfect, and even in Star Trek, or you can't have any drama at all. It's again a wonderful performance. This episode has some interesting ideas, like the stuff with the extended life of the people of the people on this planet.
Yeah.
So and again, it's really just there's a lot of very entertaining stuff between the characters, and especially some of the interactions between Kirk and Tracy. Some of the action. I think it's a pretty good, straightforward drama episode. I'm one of those that doesn't have a big problem with the parallel planet stuff. I understand it's out there, especially when you look at it through the lens of 30 some odd years later and 40 some years later, now 50 something years later. You can kind of go, wow, really? It developed like that? And they had comms and yangs and, comms, communist and yangs, Yankees. Can you say it's goofy? Sure. I mean, I can't argue with you that much about it. I just don't mind it that much. I still think looking at through the lens of an old Trek episode, I find a lot of it to enjoy. And without going too far down this rabbit hole, I'm not a religious man, but the closest I get to that is my love of my country and the ideals that it stands for and the ideas of the Constitution and things like that and freedom and stuff. So they got really cornball on us with that stuff at the end there with Kirk's "We the People" speech. And I'm sorry, it's irresistible to me. I love it. I will fully admit it's goofy, and I love it. It's
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's goofy, to be honest with you. I'm not sure it's goofy because, I've been watching Star Trek for around 45 years. And I got to tell you that, sometimes it feels forced and sometimes it doesn't. It depends upon who I am at the time and what's going on in the world. As I watch in order every single year. I didn't last year because I was extremely angry with Star Trek, so I didn't. But and so this year when I watched it, I didn't feel that reading of it. I didn't read as goofy or comedic to me in any way, and it didn't feel forced. I was actually thinking to myself once again, just the elocution of of Bill, and I thought he did a great job here. But maybe next year I'll get my hate back on.
I don't know. I found it to be a thoroughly entertaining episode. Again, it's not in the sense that all of it moves well. There's good drama. And when I mean goofy, I'm just saying the concept that you're being asked to buy into, not the speech. I loved the scene when he's talking about this is not meant for chiefs.
Yeah.
This is not meant for, royalty. This is meant for, it's got to mean everything to everyone. The stuff with Cloud William, all the action. I'm saying that I can understand how it's, how people might find that a stretch of a concept. So when I say goofy, I'm meaning that in a very lighthearted sense. I take it very seriously, that scene. I really believe in it. I'm saying it's very dramatic. I love the way that the soundtrack at the end puts the stuff with the Star Spangled Banner in there. And I'm saying I can understand people finding it a bit on the cornball side. It's just that I love that. I don't mind that. And that's why I've always really liked this episode. And I'm just saying I'm willing to go with the stretch, but I do understand people finding the parallel, like you were talking about in your coverage. A little bit of a stretch is all I'm trying to say.
Why not complain about bread and circuses then?
No, they did that. They did, I guess.
But not quite to the extent they did with this one. And I love your comments, and I totally agree with you. Anybody who's studied philosophy knows that this whole idea that that knowledge is only for scribes and Pharisees, it's only for the very elite, and that through publication, through the invention of the printing press, and even the invention of Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 and social media, we see the power of publication fall into the hands of regular people, and we can make that same parallel when it comes to knowledge. So you're not only imbibing knowledge, and you're creating knowledge, and that it's for everyone. So it's quite a profound statement, and it most certainly has ties to the more cerebrally minded, or those who are more historically minded, and they recognize the power of a speech like that. This isn't for the elites. This isn't for the people who lead these tribes. This isn't for presidents. This isn't for world leaders. This is for everyone.
Everybody.
So yes, exactly, and that's a resounding theme in real life, in human history. So I love your comments, and I totally agree.
Every 4th of July, I watch this episode. There are a couple things I watch every 4th of July. Yes, I am an unabashed patriot, and I love it, and I watch it every 4th of July for some reason. And then I always end up going like on Facebook or YouTube recently and finding that just clip of Kirk, that last couple of minutes, and I post it up there.
Yeah.
And Eid Plebnista. I just find this as a Trek episode definitely a solid, good, entertaining one with a lot of good drama and a lot of good action, and just being a very thoroughly entertaining one. And the ending there, I dearly love that scene. And I mean, when I say the cornball stuff, or the people who, or what I'm saying, I guess the silly stuff, or what I'm saying, I guess I'm just saying a lot of people have said that, not me.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm saying. I already know that.
I already know that about you. I already know that about you. That's why I love the way that you couched your rhetoric. I think that it is unfairly said, and you and I will constantly call people on their BS when they try to create that sort of narrative about this show. So yeah, in socio-historical context, and when you look at the budget, and when you look at the medium, with that being TV, no budget, and all of these other things, and what it was striving to do, I think it's an incredibly unfair lens to put on this show, and this episode in particular. And there's always an operatic quality to Bill, because of course Bill's mother was an elocutionist, and he started his career in Shakespeare, and so I think it's just marvelous, and I definitely understood where you were coming from there. What you were doing is just broaching the fact that people are often too hard on this episode, or try and turn a touching moment into a cornball moment, maybe because they feel uncomfortable, or they don't really have the knowledge of the IP, or the knowledge of human history, or perhaps the maturity to understand the gravity and the nature of the comments being made. So I love you, Clobby, and I totally got you on that one.
Well, and it just gets to my heart every time I watch that inning. Again, no, not a top 10er by any stretch of the imagination, Lord Thoth, but solid, full.
Did LT say that?
Well, yeah, he was teasing me about being a top 10er.
I love you, LT.
No, it's not. However, I rate it as a solid, entertaining Trek episode with the ending that really gets me in the heart. No words have said this thing of importance in quite the same way. Look at these words, written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark D with a C, by the way. I appreciate you putting that up there. I love this. That which you call E de plebnista was not written for the chiefs or the kings or the warriors or the rich or the powerful, but for all the people.
Yeah. And it's amazing because, if you're into social science and you really like history, that is such a powerful, like I said earlier, a powerful thing to say in our society, because there was a time when most of the population was illiterate, and it was the church who had control over language and what was published and what you could read and who could read it and who would be taught how to read. And so for those who understand that the nature of our history, that is just such a powerful thing to say on national television, and it's just terrific.
I love it. These words and the words that follows were not written for the Yangs, but for the Calms as well. And then I just love this thing. That's where he goes, when Cloud Wood, the Calms, they must apply to everybody or they mean nothing. Great Shatner stuff. Great speech. Yep. And I just, the more I think about it, the less embarrassed I get about it. I just think it is absolutely, again, I watch it every year for a reason. That gets me. That's Star Trek, folks. Star Trek gets into our heart and our minds, so that the essence of freedom and liberty and love of individualism, and at the same time love of family and friends. That's Star Trek, and it's all in this episode, and with of course a lot of good action, and some good drama and some great performances. One of my favorite Kirk speeches. And I just want to say to my fantastic friend Ace, I cannot say how much we appreciate this. This has been the worst deployment in 17 years for me. This show is a great help, buddy. That touches me, man, because I love you as a friend. We've been friends for a long time, and he's a great. He's a superhero to me, my friend Mark. And,
Ace Cast,
I appreciate that.
We love you, not just Clobby and I, but this whole community. And that really sucks. But you know what? I'm so honored that we would be your outlet, and we are here for you to entertain you and to also just hang out like buds. So so glad that you're here, Ace.
Zathras is here. Zathras, what's up, buddy?
Oh, so good to see you.
Zathras, kid, dude. As I said, solid top 79. I think you can safely say that, Zathras. Yeah, whether you like it or not, it's got to be at least that. Let me see here. All right, everyone. We will get on to Raquel's notes, and then we'll start rating it. You're the man, bud. You're the man. Let's see here. So you may, I suppose we could proceed with your notes on the Omega Glory, and then we'll do some rating in a minute.
So if you're unfamiliar with this format, you've never been here before, I make notes on each episode because there are so many facts and factoids sandwiched together in our lore. So here we go. So this is one of 3 episodes where the Enterprise discovers a Constitution-class starship, and everyone's dead. So if you're one of those people who plays advanced Star Trek trivia, like myself, please make sure that you make note of that. The Omega Glory, where no man has gone before, and Mudd's women. I know I've brought this up before, but if I hammer this information into your head, it will not leave. Hopefully, I want to stick it to the inside of your brain. Gene Roddenberry personally submitted his original teleplay of this episode for Emmy consideration. During its original broadcast, the closing credits informed the audience that Star Trek would be renewed for season 3, followed by a message which read, "Please do not send any more letters." Piles of protest letters organized by Gene Roddenberry and Bijo Trimble. 1970s kids, Gen X. Did you grow up in the 70s like me? If you did, and you had a Viewmaster, then you know the slides for this episode. The Yangs were called the Maraks.
Oh,
Uh,
God, I love you, bastards, but I didn't have that one.
Now I'm going to open up a can of whoop butt on the sandwiching of fact and factoid in our lore. So there's a great titan, an evil titan that looms over our lore, and it is the insignia lore. So I just made a whole bunch of notes on this piece of paper. Many of you know I work on marginalia, so the paper is just like an absolute disaster. So I'm just going to read it off, and then I'll sort of explain where I'm coming from. A mistake of the costume department. An insignia for each ship would be preferred, but proved expensive and impractical due to the infamously difficult velour wardrobe debacles, shrinking and reused by extras. It is often reported a letter sent by Gene Roddenberry about the Exeter's insignia, but its contents don't explain the situation, nearly address that on a go-forward basis, they should be the same for all of Starfleet. I have believed both versions of this lore over the 45 years of being a Star Trek fan. Of course, there is the type of officer and not unique to ship. So there's all this stuff brewing, right? Lore is plagued by memoirs and user-generated content and sloppy reporting and writing. I'm trying to order a book on this to confirm it, and that would be the thesis or Thace gentleman who did the wardrobe on this. So lore blames confusion during the making of the Commodore badge. Okay, but Justman actually blames the episode Charlie X. Okay, and the actual letter does not come from Gene Roddenberry. There's a possibility that all of these stories are correct. We see Fleet Commander Decker in the Doomsday Machine. We see the outpost duty insignias in Balance of Terror and Arena. And then we even see one on Finnegan doing cadet duty. So somehow what has happened in our lore, if I explain all of my notes to everyone, is that we have some people who are blaming the costume department for misunderstanding. And then we also have some folks who believe, some insiders who believe that initially Gene's idea was that all ships were going to have their own insignia, and then it just proved ridiculous because of everything that happened with those velour costumes. So they shrunk to insane levels. They were short of the uniforms. Extras had to wear them. It turned into a real mess. So we have these two parallel stories about what happens with insignias. I'm just going to share my screen for 1 second because I would like to show you all an actual letter. And I hope I can do that on this side. Clobby, I can do that on this side, correct?
What you looking for? What's that?
I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I hope I'm doing this correctly. And if not, I will have to...
You see the share thingy down there?
Yeah, I do. And I'm just going to click entire screen and then allow. Okay, so I've never done this on StreamYards before, but I just want to show you all something that's super important. So in a number of books and all over the internet, you're going to hear that Gene Roddenberry sent a note. That's not what happened. As you can see, to Bill Thace or These, this is the gentleman who did all the wardrobe. This is from Bob Justman. This is not to Gene Roddenberry or whatever. He was CC'd. So if you can't read the letter, it says, while sitting in dailies today, it was noticed that a starship captain from another starship was wearing an emblem unfamiliar to yours truly. I have checked the occurrences out with Mr. Roddenberry, who has assured me that all starship personnel wear the starship emblem that we have established for our Enterprise crew members to wear. Doubtless, this situation has arisen due to the fact that a different starship emblem was used last season on Charlie X. However, the personnel of that other ship in that show were the equivalent of merchant marine or freighter personnel. and therefore not entitled to bear this proud insignia on their individual and collective breasts. Please do not do anything to correct this understandable mistake in the present episode. However, should we have Starfleet personnel in any other episodes, please make certain that they wear the proper emblem under penalty of death. And of course, he was just kidding there. But as you can see, it is CC'd to Gene Roddenberry, DC Fontana, and we have PS. Carvin, I'm sorry, will be sufficient. And so I don't know how to stop screen sharing. Let me just
whenever you're ready. Oh, there you go. There you go.
All right. So this is extremely important. Okay. So that letter is verified through Star Trek. That is the real letter. So if you're all confused at home because you're not a super Trekkie and you're not a super geek or a super nerd, I'm going to lay this bare for you so that you can understand. There are two camps in our lore. One camp believes that initially Gene Roddenberry wanted to create unique insignias from each ship, and it proved too expensive. And because the velour uniforms shrunk and were just horrible all the time, it sort of fell out of favor, and they decided on a go-forward basis that there would be no more unique insignias for ships. Okay? Now, there is a whole part of lore who have read books that believe that it happened during this episode, okay? That the Omega Glory is when it was pointed out, and that this is the first time that it happened. And then there are those who are oblivious to the Charlie X reference or the Justman letter. So tonight, I wanted to make sure that I set the record straight for all of you who have been reading multiple layers of user-generated lore and have always thought to yourself, well, the insignias were Gene Roddenberry's idea. He wanted everyone to have a unique insignia to show that each ship belonged to each ship. Okay? There is nothing to dispel that. I have found no evidence to say that that is not true. What I can say is that by the time we got to Omega Glory, it was pointed out by Justman, and Gene agreed that on a go-forward basis, all Starfleet officers would have the Delta, and they would not have unique insignias. And then it was explained that it happened through the Commodore badge, through the Charlie X episode, and through the Fleet Commander Decker episode. This is how it happened. And there was a miscommunication between the costume department and the people who were running the show. Of course, Justman and Gene Roddenberry and so on and so forth. So I hope that sort of clears up that lore for you. There is nothing to say that you are incorrect. I find no verified evidence that there is no possibility that Gene didn't want this in the beginning. But I can explain on the back end what happened with the Omega Glory and how we wound up with a Delta on a go-forward basis. So I hope that clears that up for you, folks.
Wow, excellent stuff. Because, people have thought about that for a while and talked about that for a while, all the different insignias and stuff. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I've believed both in my life, but that's also because there are published books that say that. And we don't know if it's wrong or if it's right. Gene Roddenberry could very well have started off wanting each ship to have its own insignia, and it became cost ineffective for the ever decreasing budget, and because of the debacle with this velour crap, and that's a possibility. But it could also be possible that from the very beginning there was a misunderstanding between this marvelous costume department and Gene Roddenberry's actual vision, and the wardrobe department's misunderstanding of how the upper echelons of Starfleet would have an elevated Delta badge, not just a Delta badge. So that's where we would see that beautiful, like daisy, almost like cluster on the Commodore, and so on and so forth.
Well, there you go. There you have it, folks. Again, something that I've always wondered. Well, like you've talked about, there's so much information out there that flies in the face of itself and each other, and so love it. Thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Let's get your rating on the Omega Glory. I'll give mine, and then we will ask for the rating of our wonderful chat.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone, this is neither a fabulous episode nor a episode for me. I think it runs right down the middle, and so Professor Briggs is going to give this a B plus. And I almost gave it a B, but I'm going to give it a B plus because it is neither divine nor disgusting. I find it to be just right down the middle. There's nothing fabulous about it, but it's got some cool stuff in it, and I enjoy this episode. And yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Again, I have the same rating. I'm a B plus. It gets close to A territory to me because I really love the ending so much. But you have to judge something on an entire episode. I love it. Like I said, I love the messaging in it. I love the scene at the end. I think it's terrific. But even if I were just sort of so about that, it's solid, well done, exciting, Star Trek episode.
Yep.
I don't put it in the class with the top 10ers or even the top 20ers necessarily, but I do like it a lot. And again, it gets that plus is for the lovely speech at the end there, and some great acting there by Kirk and stuff. So yes, I too am a B plus on the Omega Glory. And now I would ask my good friends in the chat, please throw out your ratings and see if I can. I try to catch them all, everyone. Freedom.
And don't be shy to put the rating. Always put the rating first so that it jumps out to Clobby. But don't be afraid to say why. We love your comments. Your comments are fabulous, and we will showcase them here.
Absolutely. I mean, again, believe me, when I give something a B plus, I love it. That's a love because I love Star Trek so much. That's a high mark for me. So a B from I love that NCC 1776 B. I love it. The great Ace Cast Iron. Love that, bro.
Love you,
nice,
Ace.
Man. You the man. Let's see here. JT Kirk is and again, if I miss one, let me know, everyone. I am with this thing. C plus, the Parallel Worlds thing really starts to get stale near the end of season 2 and is just lazy in season 3. And this episode plays a big part on that. Thank you, JT. I appreciate
excellent comments. Thank you so much.
RN Feliciano. C, not one of my favorites. The Starfleet Officer Federation Citizens Gone Wild trope was getting old.
Yep.
I hear you. Let's see here. Can understand that for sure. Trying to find some more ratings. Everyone, we're getting there. Let's
4 minutes past the hour. Zathras.
Zathras, wait. And I am the real Zathras. Other Zathras in other time zone, I think. Or maybe I'm not me after all. Zathras will get that. I'm sorry. I can't do a good Zathras, but I love Zathras. B for me. Hey, that rhymes. There you go, brother. The great Lord Thoth. No, I'm sorry you was answering. I thought that was a rating. Hang on.
That's okay.
Steve Mitchell, I've always loved this episode. I give it a 9 out of 10. Worship worlds. Worship words, yes. That is
love it, Steve. Love it,
worship
Steve.
World. You will not speak it. I love and of course, the fight scene in the cell when he says, "Pity you can't, teach me that."
Yeah.
Remember when he was Let's see here. All right. Maybe that was a different episode. Sorry. I'm a bad brain fart. I give it a solid B from Scuba Pete.
Oh, that's good. B from Dr. Hercule Monkey.
Yes. B us. B us? Okay. Sandra Feliciano, B plus. One lesson is to think for yourself. Tracy assumed Kirk will just follow along. Kirk thought for himself and chose the side of freedom. Yes, indeed. I love that. The side with the philosophy of the Federation. Love that, Sandra. Absolutely.
I love Sandra Feliciano.
We all do. Absolutely. Mark D with the C. B, 4 to 5 eat Plednistas. Despite ridiculous parallel development, the acting and action are well done. Great message about freedom and the Kangs.
Yep.
I think it means Yangs. The gangs,
Yangs.
although defeated, should enjoy liberty too. Yeah.
Hey, could you imagine if we had multiple Kangs? That would be great.
Gangs, that's right.
Imagine if we had like an entire village of Kangs. That'd be actually kind of scary.
Lord Thoth. Yep, absolutely. C-, bottom third. Not American, so stirring words don't impact me. This is, I mean, they weren't, and technically neither was Kirk or any of those people. Not a fan of another captain going crazy rogue. I mean, at that point, though, that was the first time probably in Trek. And then they started doing it a lot later. But I'm actually not all that sanguine about it either, really.
Yeah.
With Garth, of course, which we'll get to in a few weeks, I guess, that was because of insanity. But yeah, I hear that.
But it's always important for us to temper our spoiled for choice, easy ratings, because we love this IP so much, with LT's pragmatism and his reservation. Let's all turn to the great Eric K., who refers to LT as what? Scrooge McDuck?
Yes, he is.
He is. If you're listening at home or you're watching at home, you need to know Lord Thoth is the litmus test of this show. If you give Lord Thoth coal, he will give you back a diamond. The man is the stingiest man when it comes to ratings. So it's terrific that he is here to say, no.
But I learned more about him last night when I was listening to him on our good buddy Nick's show. A lot of that stuff you were saying about movies and they were giving you crap about LT, I was right there with you, especially I won't open up this hornet's nest tonight, but I have a lot of problems with Return of the Jedi. I'm glad I'm not the only one, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Snortopupus Q Burr. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a fun thing an adventurous word to have or name to have to say. I give the episode a B. It's still headed above any fake Trek today. You are so right, sir. To hell with
Snortopupus. Hail Snortopupus.
Filthy fake Trek is garbage. Trek is only 1966 to 2005. So there you go, buddy.
Before we move on to Eric K., wait 1 second. At 8 minutes past the hour, LT, don't dive into your coin vault. It's not liquid. JT Kirk said that to LT. Love it. Sorry to interrupt. I beg your pardon.
That's all right. Eric K., B-, I think. It would have been better if a similar document and flag, but not the exact same. McCoy being toxic when he gets served food. Well, you were just a big lech, Eric K. Let's be honest, buddy. Let's just be honest, man. Pat S. C+. This episode has inspired no silly or colorful comments. Phantom outside B. Speech, of course, but the good evil of Kirk versus Tracy, with Tracy using Vulcan physiology against Kirk. He has no heart. That was really good stuff. Yeah, that was good stuff.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your heart sinks like when you're young. I grew up in the 70s, and so I watched Star Trek on reruns, and I do have to say that my heart sank when he said that. He has no heart. I felt as though they had found my icon, my hero. They found him out. Would they kill him?
Great stuff. Yes. Lord Thoth quoting some Babylon 5 there. Sathras is used to being a beast of burden to other people's needs. Good. Well, Rod Thunderheart A- because it feels like solid sci-fi, the conundrum of being unable to leave, the mystery of the dead crew, and Kirk refusing to accept the probable outcome.
Yep,
I'm there with you.
I accept that high mark, just like I accept LT's low mark. I think both are valid.
Indeed. Well done, sir. Let's see here.
Canadian Spider-Man.
Where?
10 minutes past the hour.
Okay, I'm still not there yet. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anybody.
Gotcha.
I'm way behind here. Sorry, everyone. Oh, there we go. Canadian Spider-Man who does whatever a Canadian Spider can. I think an A-. The concept and not completely subtle messaging Hit me right at home. Me too, my friend. Me too, my friend.
Nice one.
Some more Zathras quotes. Oh, there we go. Zathras understand. No, Zathras not understand. But Zathras do. Zathras good at doings, not understandings. Yeah, I love that. I miss Zathras.
Hey, Parrothead just walked in the room. Hey, Parrothead.
All right, my friend. Good to see you, buddy. Well, everyone, we're ready to make haste to go to our next episode. What do you think?
I think it's time. We can leave unless anybody has some follow-up comments. If you do, please go ahead and throw them up into the chat.
If we missed any ratings, please let us know, my friends. And
oh, Eric K's suggesting that I think about a cosplay for this one. Okay, just wait 1 second and I'll write that down.
Write it down. Write it down. Write it down.
I do request. I will definitely add that to my list. Thank you so much for that feedback, Eric.
Indeed. That is a good idea. All righty. All right, everyone. We're on to our next episode.
We are Assignment Earth, Season 2, Episode 26, Prod Code 55. I can't drive 55. If you're following along in the block text, we are on brick or tile number. And I say that if you're unfamiliar with this book, because this book really does look like a brick or like a block. Clubby mentioned it, and yeah, it's ridiculous to try and wield this thing. It's very thick and very compact, and so we call it a tile. It's not really a page, but we're on 259, 260, Assignment Earth. Once again, Season 2, Episode 26 if you're streaming. And if you're following along in the book and with this show, we're doing it by prod code. And we are on the 55th episode produced by the wonderful Star Trek. The Enterprise travels back in time to the year 1968 to determine how Earth managed to avoid a pending nuclear crisis that year. While in orbit around the planet, the ship intercepts a powerful transporter beam that apparently has been carrying a humanoid named Gary 7 to Earth. The mysterious 7 explains that he is a 20th century man trained by aliens to deal with the situation. Kirk doesn't trust 7 or his extremely advanced equipment, or the strangely intelligent black cat that accompanies him. However, he doesn't let 7 do his job. If he doesn't let 7 do his job, he runs the risk of changing Earth's history, and not for the better. Star Trek was not the only idea for a TV series to germinate within the Gene Roddenberry fertile imagination. Throughout his career, he conceived many interesting tales, most of which fell under the category of speculative fiction. One such idea had to do with an Earthman named Gary 7, who traveled from the future to the 20th century in order to fight evil, shape-changing Omegans out to change history to their advantage. Roddenberry penned a pilot script toward the end of 1966 during Star Trek's first season, but apparently it didn't sell. However, a year later, with Star Trek's cancellation a very real threat, Roddenberry must have thought there might be a way to raise a phoenix from the existing series' embers. He dusted off the Gary 7 tale and reworked it with writer Art Wallace, transforming it into a Star Trek episode that he hoped would serve as a springboard for a brand new series. The bad news was NBC wasn't interested. The good news was that Star Trek was renewed for a third season. In Assignment Earth, much of the action takes place at a fictional stand-in for the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, dubbed McKinley Rocket Base. However, the base exteriors seen in the episode were themselves a stand-in. The location Kirk and Spock beamed down to was actually the back of an office building on the Paramount lot, named for Marlene Dietrich, the beautiful German actress who appeared in The Blue Angel and many other Paramount films over the decades. The Dietrich building is located just opposite the commissary, the studio's upscale dining facility. Some people view the fanciful predictions foretold in old science fiction movies and television shows and say, where are all the flying cars? I was supposed to have by the dawn of the 21st century. Other people, primarily writers, say, where's that amazing voice activated electric typewriter that types everything we say? In 1951, Betty Joanne Conway attended a gathering of science fiction fans and met her destiny. Bijo, as her friends called her, quickly became a fixture of the fan community, the Big Fan name, or BNF, well known for her skills at organizing art shows and costume displays for conventions. But it wasn't until 1967 that Bijo and her husband, fellow fan John Trimble, became BNFs to a much larger community. Star Trek captivated the Trimbles from the very beginning. After Bijo realized that Desilu production office was just a few miles from her home, she wrote a letter asking to meet the producer, Gene Roddenberry, complimented that his show had at least one loyal viewer, agreed to meet with her. Impressed with her intelligence and enthusiasm, Roddenberry wisely said yes when Bijo volunteered to help out by opening the stacks of fan mail that were beginning to pile up at the Star Trek offices. By the middle of the Star Trek second season, the producers were convinced that NBC intended to cancel the series. That was unacceptable to the Trimbles, who had hoped to see the show's live run in reruns. This was before the days of home video. They knew that if Star Trek didn't produce at least 70 episodes, it wouldn't be sold into rerun syndication and would disappear forever. Bijo had an idea. She would start a letter writing campaign to NBC, a Save Star Trek campaign. As she had done at dozens of science fiction conventions, she orchestrated the activity in an efficient and professional manner. Bijo had found many fan letters to be poorly written, demanding, and even rude. So she created a how-to memo, which included the names and office addresses of NBC executives and distributed it to her friends throughout the fan community. Among the instructions were several strategic hints, such as use a legal size envelope, don't mention Star Trek on the front of the envelope, and don't include a return address on the outside of the envelope, thus ensuring that the studio would be required to open it. Fans were also asked not to send form letters, so the recipients at NBC would understand that each letter came from an individual viewer. And the memo stressed, be polite. In the following weeks, the Trimbles received requests for copies of the how-to memo from fans across the country. From the membership of the high IQ organization Mensa, and even from employees from Polaroid, a Star Trek sponsor, who then sent letters not only to NBC, but to everyone in their own company. As momentum grew, the Kansas City Star interviewed the Trimbles. The resulting story generated hundreds of additional requests for the memo. The exact number of letters that NBC received has not been recorded. Estimates range from tens of thousands to 1 million. But whatever the count was, NBC was so impressed by the response that on March 31st, the network included a special announcement after one of the episodes. The upshot, Star Trek would return for a third season. In historical accounts, some accurate and some apocryphal, related to the demise of Star Trek, NBC executives typically are cast as unthinking villains, cutting down this classic series in its prime. But no company is entirely populated by black hats. The truth is, there were many NBC execs who supported Star Trek over the years. Both David Tebet, NBC's vice president for talent, and Mort Werner, chief programming executive at the network during the 1960s, are considered the white hats by most who knew them. David Tebet was well liked by most of the talent he oversaw. Comedian George Burns referred to him as the vice president in charge of caring. I don't know if that's so good. It was Tebet's job to spot and recruit stars for the network and to keep them happy so they would stay. Among the entertainers he brought to NBC were Michael Landon, James Garner, Dean Martin, and a young, little-known comedian named Johnny Carson. Oh, interesting.
Wow.
During his tenure at NBC, Mort Werner oversaw the premieres of Bonanza, Rowan, and Martin's Laugh-In, and 3 series that featured minority actors in prominent roles for the first time: Trek, I Spy, and Julia. Although he had been at the studio when Star Trek was canceled, Werner was a strong advocate for relaunching the Starship Enterprise in a 90-minute TV movie as early as 1970. And that is all the block text has to say on this episode, Assignment Earth. I'm going to throw it over to the chat. And Clobby, what are your thoughts on this coverage? And do you have anything to add?
Well, I'm surprised they mentioned Johnny Carson. That is wild, weird stuff.
I didn't know that.
Ed, did you know that? What about Doc? Is Doc here tonight?
I did not know that.
I did not know that. I'm sorry. You mentioned Johnny Carson. I go off on my stupid Johnny Carson. I'm sorry. I love Johnny.
No, your Johnny Carson's actually pretty good, and it always makes me smile. I love it.
You're too kind, and I have read your book, and it was absolutely captivating. I remember he always used to say he read the book of his guests.
Yes.
I don't know if he really did. Anyway, no, look, some definitely good coverage there, and again, I just Assignment Earth. I think we've kind of gone over this before. I think we got in a little trouble once before when we were talking about time travel in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to get to this. I don't mind accidental time travel in Star Trek usually, or, in something in the case of the City on the Edge of Forever, you have a pretty good, setup there because you don't have to explain it.
Yeah, but here Kirk makes it seem like it's routine.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? Why don't we just pop back to 1968 and take a look just for the hell of it?
Yeah.
The Catman, a.k.a. Dee Dee Myers. Good to see you there.
Hey, Dee Dee Myers. Hey. Welcome.
How about anyone fancy a trip to a little historical knowledge there to go pick up on was it back in 1966? So, yeah, the setup for the episode, I'm not too big on personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been a big fan of Robert Lansing, by the way. He was one of my favorite older science fiction films. Anyone ever
those eyebrows? Those are science fiction eyebrows.
They are, aren't they? Anyone ever see the 4D Man? James Caserta, welcome.
Hey, James Caserta.
Hey. The 4D Man was one of my favorites. Also, he was on Auto Man and The Equalizer. So good actor. I always liked him.
Yeah.
This episode is not one I hate or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. I just kind of have a bit of the problem with them just, in other words, if they'd found some other kind of way to go back to 1968, I probably would have been a little bit more sanguine about it personally. That's kind of a problem for me with the episode.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. I don't think it's bad or anything like that. I enjoy some of it. I really like Lansing. As we all know, since this did not sell, if anyone remembers the Quester tapes, the TV movie that Roddenberry made in the mid 70s, in my opinion, that's him trying to rework Assignment Earth to sell it again. By the way, and I love it. I love the Quester tapes. I thought it was great. It's a shame that didn't make it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good and fairly good, entertaining episode, mainly for Lansing, and of course, kind of like me some Terry Garr. Yep. Can't lie about that. And what was that? What was that lady's name? Was it Veronica Verdi or something?
No, Victoria Vertree. She did not play Isis. It was played by contortionist April Tatro.
I was thinking of a different lady from something else. Sorry.
No, the thing is that it's actually so deeply embedded in lore and in multiple publications that almost every Trekkie believes this. It's everywhere. Really? And so it is ingrained in our lore. It has been repeated so many times. And of course, Victoria always said, no, it's not me. It's not me.
Well,
and then later we found out that April was indeed. Yeah.
She played Isis. Because I loved Victoria was in one of my movies I loved as a kid, When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. But yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
I've heard they've got that mixed up, but I couldn't remember this lady's name, but she is, of course, lovely. So yes, my bad, my idiocy on that, everyone.
No, not at all. I think that the thing is like, what do you do? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, Mark D with a C, he has a scholarly mind. So he likes to research things the way that they should. And he will trace and track in-text citation like I do. And so, you really have to have a personality for it. And if you go on Amazon and you see these books, some of these books, these are great Star Trek books that hundreds of thousands of people have purchased, and they're filled with incorrect information. And you'll actually see people saying that now in the comments, because of course there are people like Mark D with the C and people like me who are around, who are chasing this in-text citation and going and looking at that source material to make sure that it's true. And many times it's not true. But no one would fault you for believing it was Victoria, not April, because it's everywhere.
I just wasn't paying good attention, I guess. But I have seen that. Like you say, you said that because I have seen that in spots and I never really paid attention. So there you go. Yeah. Not very observant. But this episode, again, it's we all know what it's trying to do. It's it was this attempt to do that pilot thing or something like that. Interestingly, there's a bit when they're talking about that they've arrived at the very time of this is 1968. And not just the show, but I mean the episode.
Yes, it is
an important assassination. Well, there were two big assassinations in 1968. Was this made before those two?
Was March 29th, 1968.
Wasn't Bobby Kennedy in the 68? And if I remember,
I'm not sure.
I think it was 68 or 69, one of the two. And then was it Martin Luther King?
I'm not sure. I would have to turn to the chat there. Mark D with the C is somebody where if he took one of my post-secondary classes, he would definitely get an A. So I would put Mark D with a C on that, or the ever brilliant and super handy producer, Eric K. Either one of those gentlemen would be perfect for that mission. If you accept an away mission, gentlemen, we need to know.
Yes, it's 68. And yeah, there you go. And you know what? I don't know if this episode aired before those two or not, because I don't have the exact, but I knew I was pretty sure it was 68. So yes, weird.
Yeah.
Because again, Spock says that we're two important. Did he say one? He said, I think he maybe said an important assassination. Yeah. So that's spooky.
Yeah, it is. It's super scary.
Yeah. So, because I'm sure that when they were making this episode, it was obviously many months before that, and if they'd known about it, they wouldn't have said that in the episode.
Here we have the meat now. We're throwing the meat on the bones. So here we have Mark with the C, 29 minutes past the hour. Could we marquee that? So Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. This was broadcast on the original air date was March 29th, 1968. Wow.
So they wouldn't have put that line in if they'd known those two, for sure. If they would have said that, probably wouldn't be a good idea. So, weird, but that is even spookier, right? Yep. Yeah, spooky stuff. Again,
Mark.
Thank you. Well, we got the greatest chat. They'll pull up anything you need to know. They're there. Yeah. Count on our good friends in the chat there. Again, the Unsold Pilot. I love Lansing. I've always liked him and stuff. So it's a decent one. Of course, again, I always had back then. I certainly had a crush on Terry Garr. It's worth noting that there have been a couple of comic books and novels that dealt with these characters, with Gary Seven and things like that. John Byrne, of course, did an IDW comic called Assignment Earth, as you can see there. There was also, and later, just recently, they've kind of brought them back in Star Trek Year 5, the IDW comic book. I haven't read it yet, but I've seen that. The Greg Cox novels, which I've read like one, I think, and I don't like some of the things they did with those, but the ones leading up to the eugenics wars has Gary Seven in those.
It did have potential though. Like that's all you're showing me right now is that you agree with me, and I just absolutely love it. This whole idea he had for this whole other show, like it was viable. It's something I would have watched, and and due largely in part to Robert Lansing. I'm not a big fan of Terry Garr, but Robert Lansing is just so compelling as Gary Seven, and I love the whole feel of him. Like, just the feel of him in science fiction is just so right and so beautiful and so perfect. I would have watched this if it would have launched.
I love this meme right here. They're watching Time Tunnel. Look at that. Everyone remember Irwin Allen's Time Tunnel? Look at that. I don't know why I found that. But yes, so again, it did have some potential.
Yes.
It's a good one. I like it and everything. Like I say, just wasn't one of my tops or anything. And again, it could have been. I would love to have seen that show. I would love to have seen that show get made.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Me too. It would have been great, I think, or I just would have been really all over that one. And but that's the way that one went.
Mark D with the C says, do they say that Gary Seven is a time traveler at any point? No, but no. He does. There is a great deal of dialogue where Gary Seven turns around and says, I have been trained by these aliens to come back in time and correct this that this is what's happened. And then of course we have the whole space-time travel paradox, where it's then later explained that they all had to be there in order for it to happen, in order to maintain the space-time continuum, and so on and so forth. But I don't think he comes right out and says time traveler.
No, he does.
But you could check, Mark. If you wanted to, you could slap that exact the word traveler into that wonderful website you and I use that tracks all of the scripts and all of the dialogue for the scripts, because I bet you will find out there. Just use Control F and type in traveler, and if it pops up, please let me know.
He never gives any indication that he's a time traveler. He does mention a few things. For example, he knows that the Enterprise is from the future.
Yes.
He tells them that he's been taken to this alien planet and trained, and he tells them that he would rather keep their planet a secret. And yes. Scotty says something about you can't hide a planet. He says they can't. Maybe in your time, no, but you can. They can. And it's also mentioned later that they've been taking people from Earth for like 6,000 years or something. Like
yes, they have. Yeah, they have.
So I'm not sure if he's from the future or anything like that, but he definitely knows about the Enterprise. And of course, they later in turn tell him toward the end of the episode, as you all know, that it turns out they were meant to all be involved. The Enterprise's involvement was part of history, and they were going to have some interesting experiences together, both he and Roberta Lincoln.
I think that Mark D with the C is alongside us in our understanding of that. I think that he's just looking for that exact diction, that exact traveler, time traveler, to know if it was ever mentioned, because wouldn't that be a wonderful can of worms when you look at what unfolded thereafter, right? So it's an intriguing thing to find out. Mark D with the C, I would definitely encourage you to go to that Scripps website that you and I use to do research on, and hit Control F and type in time traveler, and if it populates, you're golden.
And by the way, Phantom Outsider is exactly right. He knew what a Vulcan was, and Zatras, I love that, man. Even though it's a different universe,
yes.
Gary Seven is from the Vorlons. Of course, the Vorlons in Babylon 5 did take Jack the Ripper and use him later, and of course, it's not, but it's still a fun idea that the Vorlons. Of course, we all know what happened with the Vorlons, buddy. So I'm glad it's a different universe.
Yeah.
But yes. An episode. I guess we're ready to go to your notes, and then we'll start some rating.
Well, they're really short on this one. Another episode that is neither divine nor disgusting. We have the lovely, the ever sexy, the wonderful to look at Barbara Babcock as the voice of Isis and Beta 5. That's of course known by everyone. So, but I just love it. Terry Garr. It is said throughout lore that Terry Garr hates Star Trek. If you bring Star Trek up to her, she will try and change the subject. And she has said, I'm paraphrasing here, along the lines of, I've said all I want to say about my participation in Star Trek. There is some speculation that she fought with Gene Roddenberry over the length of her skirt. And she has also said that she was very happy that the pilot failed. And
Oh,
so this is not a factoid, though. If you do some digging, as I have done, you will find out that she did in fact say all of those things. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. If you want the quote verbatim, please go dig it up. In a 1990 issue of Starlog magazine. So she was actually interviewed, and she said those things. And
I have that one.
I find it quite hysterical, because why would you agree to do an interview with Starlog magazine and then say, "Look, I've said everything I want to say about Star Trek"? But
she's always been a dingbat. She used to go on Letterman all the time, and all her interviews were, you can watch her talk, and she's like an idiot. So yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, so not my favorite person, but who cares? Because Robert Lansing is he just eclipses her. We have, if you were noticing, our favorite wacky Irishman, Bruce Mars, who is actually not Irish, but Finnegan, the character he plays on Shore,
thank you,
is the cop on the transporter. So if you play advanced trivia,
Charlie,
like Clubby and I do, just remember Finnegan is on the transporter. Yeah,
he was Finnegan's great grandfather. In fact, when I was rewatching it today, because I always forget it, every time I watch it, I go, "It's Finnegan," and I forget about it. And then watch again, I'm surprised every time. I go, "Finnegan!"
Yeah.
So yes, that was funny.
Yeah.
Didn't even get a line.
Yeah.
Your rating of Assignment Earth, and I'll give mine, and we'll ask our wonderful chat.
Okay, well, I have 2 ratings for this one, because I have my childhood rating when I thought that this Gary 7 guy was the coolest thing since sliced bread or grilled cheese sandwich. I loved Gary 7 when I was little. So 1970s, 1980s, Raquel is going to say A. But 2021 Raquel is gonna say B, possibly B minus. Not a huge fan of Terry Garr. Sometimes I like her more than other times. I just, the thing is that this had so much potential and fell flat. And it's disappointing for fans who love Gary Lansing and the potential that this show has. Also, the fact that it would be coming out of Earth, that it would be a very James Bondy, but it would be science fiction, and it's got all these magical components to it. That just make it wonderful science fiction. But, upon execution, it's neither divine nor disgusting. It's just sort of in the middle for me. So young Raquel thinks this is the greatest thing since grilled cheese. And adult, half a century old Raquel says, B, possibly B minus. Don't throw fruit at me.
Good old Robert Lansing. By the way, again, I asked, am I the only one that's seen the 4D Man with Robert Lansing come up from the 60s? Great, weird science fiction film. Anyway, let me know. Mark D with a C, you have to have seen the 4D Man. I'm counting on you, buddy. I don't want to be the only one. I love that movie. But anyway, I'm going to go with a solid C. I like it. It's certainly... I don't really have a whole other than maybe it's probably down that level a little bit because of the time travel thing, and it was very set up-y. It was very pilotish in some ways. But again, Robert Lansing is fantastic in it. I just think about what could have been. So I'm going to say I'm a C with this one. Possibly
it's so disappointing, hey, because there's just so much potential here. Yes. And before you go any further, I beg your pardon, and I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but would you please do me a favor and send me that title of that show on Twitter, or could you please put it in the chat? The show that you were saying, the one that Gary Lansing, Robert Lansing was in?
It's called The 4D Man. It's from the, I think, early 60s. I'll try to put it in your. I'll put it in the.
No, I got it. I've got it written down. Chat, if you're interested in that, let me tell you something. I love all of his wonderful suggestions, especially if you're Canadian and you haven't had access to this stuff because of just the way the Canadian publishing and broadcasting laws work up here. That title again is The 4D Man. So give that a watch. Sorry to interrupt you, Clobby. Okay. Please continue.
That's okay. He's a scientist that through an experiment ends up with the power to walk through walls and things like that. And it was pretty. It was a really.
I will be digging that up
stuff, but yeah.
on the Fire TV. That's going to get dug up right pronto.
It's got a really goofy soundtrack. I mean, goofy by today's standards because it's like all this really jazzy, really overbearing jazzy soundtrack to it, for this cornball.
Sounds gorgeous.
Early 60s, but I love it.
LT saying it's 1959. Thank you, LT. Love you. Okay. Love you.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Glad I'm not the only one that knows about it. All right.
I'm going to get to watching that pronto, maybe even tonight.
Robert Lansing was also the 6th episode short-lived series Auto Man with Desi Arnaz Jr. in the 80s, and then of course he was a regular on The Equalizer. Good show. Let's see here. Let's see if we started our ratings, everyone. I think our first one is Canadian Spider-Man, or does whatever Canadian Spider-Man. B, no real opinion either way, as I may have not seen this one yet. I'll change that. I'll change Terry's opinion in one night. Yeah. I used to think she was kind of cute. I always thought she was kind of cute.
Yeah, but a complete dingbat. Just absolute dingbat.
No argument there. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Here is wow, the Great Lord Dolph. B, I love this episode as a kid. April Tatro. We'd all love her. That outfit, yes, classic 60s wardrobe. A fun episode with dark temporal ramifications that a spin-off would have been fun to explore. But the missed opportunity really bums me out about that. I really wish we would got
that would have been such a good show.
Absolutely. D-. I guess that's a minus or is it just a D with a maybe that's just I don't know. I'm going to say D because I don't know if that's meant to be a D-, Arian Feliciano. I'm definitely illiterate, that. Although I like Robert Lansing, this was not the vehicle for him. That I would respectfully. I'd actually disagree with you on that one, my friend. I think it would have been perfect for him if the show got off the ground. He's great. I mean, I loved him, but there you go. Yeah. Let's see here. But a bit of a scuba Pete. Ice has got to give it a B+ out of 5 out of 7 Garys.
Yeah.
There you go.
5 out of 7 Gary eyebrows.
C+, but if Raquel asked, I'll give it a B+. Zathras,
I love you.
You really are Zathras. So you have Lord Thuck. You've seen 4D Man.
Yes.
Cool. Oh God, I've not seen it in decades, but it's been a long time. That ending, by the way. That substance in the 4D Man called carbonite, I've always thought The Empire Strikes Back took that name from this old science fiction movie and used carbonite to put Han Solo in, but it was used in the 4D Man first. Carbonite, folks. Just saying. The Great Mark D with a C, B-, 4 out of 5 sonic screwdriver. Yes, he did have a sonic screwdriver, and his sonic screwdriver was unlike the Doctor's from Doctor Who because the Doctor Who sonic screwdriver only became magical in the new Who after 2005. On the old show, just kind of something that could open locks and stuff. But I really did like Gary Seven's sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, me too.
We didn't get a name for it, so we'll just call it that from now on. Gary Seven is an interesting foil to Captain Kirk. Gar is charming, and we have Catwoman. Yeah, that would have been really interesting on the show. They really had a great setup. But not a fan of time travel, which creates too many potential plot holes. I do understand, sir. That's kind of my problem with it there. NCC 1701C. Battle of Narendra 3.
Very nice, Ace. Nice rating. Love that, sir.
Love it, man. Sandra Feliciano. B. I was amused that Gary wound up depending on someone he looked down on as a primitive. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. It knocked him off his high horse. Then he came to appreciate her. It was a fun episode. Yes, and I think if they had the show continued, Sandra, I think that would have been something they explored because he was taken to this world many, many years ago, and he's so far above primitive 1968 Earth that would have been an interesting dynamic for the show. And at that time, shows were about being entertaining and being interesting, so it would not have been hampered by much of anything else. And it would have been Gene Roddenberry certainly moralizing the way he did properly with Star Trek, and it could have been really good.
Once again, Sandra Feliciano, I absolutely love your wonderful comments. They're always so intelligent and insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us. Great comments. Love you, Sandra.
Indeed, indeed. Snortapoopas.
I love that name.
Burr. Good God, I like it. I give it a B minus. I think mostly.
Yeah.
Because of the easy time travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I give Robert Lansing an A. I give Terry Garr a D minus
for being a
whiny ditz. But Roberta Lincoln and her shorts dress, voof indeed. Voof plus. I'm with you there, buddy.
The little kitty cat ears. She just, I mean, come on. Oh, beautiful, God, sexy, beautiful, and wonderful.
She's a cutie now. I mean, I've liked her in other stuff. But she's dope. Anyway, Phantom Outsider, C+. Wish there was a follow-up. Who were the aliens that sent Gary 7? Did they hand out magic jammies in the 80s? The other one, I speak a reference to Greatest American Hero. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where were they? The preservers. Good point. I've wondered that. I was even thinking of that today when I was watching it again. Could they be the preservers? But well, I guess we'll never know. Where do they sell those ISIS cats? I want one as well. I'm allergic to cats, but I would suffer in this case. Yes, Phantom Outsider. All good questions. Again, I think with Inquester tapes, they did switch it to an alien race creating androids that lived in generational and stuff like that, and then but it's still pretty similar.
They're referred to as Megons, I think. And I think Phantom Outsider, if you wanted to know more, you might fish around on the internet and try and find the original script or even the show notes or the idea behind it. Because this was pretty important to Gene Roddenberry, right? Yes. Pitching those ideas. I always talk about how he was absolutely brilliant because some of his concepts were completely extemporaneous. He would be called to the carpet to do something incredibly difficult to solve a problem, and he waved the magic wand that was his beautiful brain and just fixed everything. And this was one of his ideas, his original pitch ideas that was recast. So there's definitely more information out there, and if you'd like to dig into it, I would definitely look in that direction. Go and look and see if somebody has scanned it and put it on the internet. I also know a lot of that stuff sells on eBay, but it's quite expensive.
Indeed, my good buddy Pat S. C+. Remember that episode? Remember that episode of Voyager when they traveled back to 1996? I wish I didn't. Yeah.
Can we just stop and give Pat S a clap?
I'd ask good one. Yes, I don't like that one either. Sarah Silverman, folks. Not a favorite of mine. I didn't like any of the later shows going back to modern day Earth. I didn't like it on DS9 like everyone else did. I didn't like that one. Let's see. B. From the great Eric K. I like this episode. If only they would have given this a chance to be a great spinoff. I know the time travel so easily is problematic, but I liked it. Again, I would have loved to see the show, man. It would have been. It's a total bummer we didn't get that, man.
Yeah. I think it actually, Eric, it would have been the pre-quantum leap that I actually would have liked because, like I said, just the setup of it, right? And I think it's so much potential. Great comment, Eric. Thank you.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. A- again from the great Rod Thunderheart. For it's just pure sci-fi fun. Fair enough.
Great comment.
Sure is. Absolutely. James Caserta is a B+, A-.
I understand that. Okay. Oddly enough, as a complete nerd, I totally understand. So this is probably what James Caserta is saying. Oh yeah, it really deserves a B+. But it also deserves an A. But then again, maybe it's an A-. So this might be his thought process, how he conceived his grade, or it just could be
Well done, sir.
I'm kidding.
Yes, R.A. Feliciano, thanks for reminding me of that. Yes, Lansing was on 12 o'clock high, and Shatner did a later role. Yeah, I remember that show. I used to watch that sometimes. That was a good show. That was older. An oldie there. Yeah. B+. The kitty cat makes one. The cat's meow. Indeed, J.T. Kirk. R.M. Feliciano is giving a rating again, and that is a D. Oh yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
I saw the slash. I was going, is that D minus or just? But it's a D. Yeah, it just confuses me. You know how dumb I am, dude. So there you go.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat, James Caserta says Omegans. And then Scuba Pete says Megon. Yeah, I think it's because when I read it, I think it actually has an O in the block text. Of course, I know Alpha and Omega, and of course, Omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. But when I was reading it, remember, I don't pre-read any of this. I read extemporaneously. I'm fairly certain that it is in this book, at least, spelt with an O. Could be a typo. I will go back and check, but thank you for your comments.
Marty with the C. So according to the Lord Thoth bell curve, this is an A. There you
go. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's true. By the way, bro, welcome Brad Fisher. Yeah, that's right. Lee Merriweather was in the 4D Man with Guy Raymond. I remember that guy who was the Trader in Trouble Tribbles. I didn't know Guy Raymond was in there, but that's right. I love Lee Merriweather. I forgot she was in that. Well, thank you, man. I want to find that if I can find that again. I'll watch it. I don't think I have it, but I'll find it somewhere. Steve Mitchell. It's hard to write a spinoff. It comes from an edict, not inspiration. True. So I'll give it a B. 8 out of 10 RAR quills. RAR quills.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Did Brad Fisher walk through the door?
Brad Fisher is here.
Brad Fisher. I'm so happy that you're here.
It's great to see you, Brad Fisher. Let's see here. Make sure we got everybody. Mark, with us. See, you've got a prisoner vibe from the Care 7. Maybe so. Prisoners, one of the greatest shows ever made. I love The Prisoner, man. So there you go.
Brad, maybe
B+ for Zathras. Yeah.
Oh yes.
In case we missed that one before. Brad Fisher, same as okay. That's Brad Fisher. C. Same as the younger B would give it an A+. Now it's an A, but that's C+. I got you. Make sure we got all our ratings. One more rating. The great Parrot Head, who is wasting away again in Margaritaville, looking for that lost shaker of salt. I give the episode a C, and Raquel's reading an A+. Yes, her readings.
Love it,
the readings are terrific. I love it. Okay, I think we got all of our ratings and we can get a move on. Just want to make sure. All right, everyone. I think I'm caught up. I'm way behind in the chat because I have to go back and get the ratings and such. And now we are ready to rumble to the next episode, I believe, right?
Yes.
All right, well, everyone, here we go. No drum roll. We're about to enter into the third series. But if it helps you, folks, if you whenever you start to slide, just remember it's 10 billion times better than the bad reboot filth of STD or Jar Jar Abrams,
correct.
Alex Klutzman, filthy, garbagey, nasty trash any day.
Yes.
Just a little encouragement there for you all. So, well,
and it's also a means to an end. We got 79, and I think the book said 70. I don't work in Hollywood, so I can't just rattle those facts off. I have to actually check the book when I read that stuff. And I think it's 70. So, I mean, season 3, you have to watch it, hiding underneath a blanket. You could just pull the blanket over your head every time you're not pleased. Or you could just pull out your phone and stare at it and scroll emptily on social media whenever it peeves you off. Oh, season 3.
Oh, I was trying to console them, though.
Yeah. So if you're watching season 3 in broadcast order, you're probably really disappointed, right? Because it's Spock's brain.
Yes.
But
not in syndication, though. Syndication, they always used to run this one first.
Yeah. But in prod order, it's Spectre of a Gun. Season 3. Spectre of the Gun, sorry. Season 3, episode 6, prod code 56.
Wait a minute.
Wait. Stop the presses.
Good point.
Steve Mitchum, 56 minutes past the hour. Rates season 2.
Okay, easy for me. Go ahead.
A?
I'm an A+ on season 2. Any drawback episodes don't stop the greatness of the Amok Times and the Mirrors and the Doomsday Machines and the wonderful things like that. So there's maybe a definite drawback episode here and there, but season 1 and season 2 are both A+ for me.
Yeah, you? I'm that's the same rating for me. Season 1 and season 2 easily get an A from me, and just start adding pluses all over the place. And that has not changed over the 45 years that I've been watching Star Trek. It's always been that. So, and look, now a whole bunch of the whole season ratings are starting to roll in. Thank you, chat. Love you guys.
There we go. Everyone's pretty much giving it the A's, the A+ for the season 2. Yeah, see, except for
except for Scrooge McDuck. Look at LT Lord Thoth at 57 minutes past the hour. Season 2 equals enjoyment A. Average rating for me B+.
Wow.
And that is why you need to send your lumps of coal to Lord Thoth.
Yeah,
he will turn them into diamonds.
That's brutal because there's so much greatness in that season. It's every bit as great as season 1, man. I mean, it trumps any episode that may be a little bit lacking for me anyway. Anyway, all right. Well, we got again, but high marks for both.
Yes, it's all deserved.
Thanks, Steve Mitchum. We appreciate that, but I'm glad you came up with that idea, man. I forgot about that we did that last time.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, go. It's so cool. On the season 3, my friends, and Spectre of the Gun, folks.
Yeah. So once again, if you're watching Spectre of the Gun on a streaming service, it's going to come up as season 3, episode 6. But it is prod code 56. So we've done 56. And if you're following along in the block text, we are on tile 265, Spectre of the Gun. And without further ado, let's get to it. As punishment for trespassing in the Melkonian space, Kirk and 4 members of his crew are forced to participate in a surrealistic reenactment of a historical event drawn from Kirk's memory, the gunfight at the OK Corral. Unfortunately, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, and Chekhov have been cast in the roles of the Clanton Gang, the losing side of that epic confrontation with Wyatt Earp, 2 of his brothers, and Doc Holliday, which means that the Melkonians expect them to die. But when certain details of the scenario don't play out as history would have it, Spock begins to suspect that a Vulcan mind meld may be the key to their survival. By the time DeForest Kelley appeared in Spectre of the Gun, he must have known the OK Corral saga very well. The episode represented his 3rd theatrical visit to Tombstone. He played Ike Clanton in the 1953 episode of the documentary series Are You There?, narrated by the respected newscaster Walter Cronkite, and had played Morgan Earp in the 1957 motion picture Gunfight at the OK Corral, co-starring with Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas, and Dennis Hopper. Those performances set him on both sides of the famous rivalry. But this time, he crossed over once again to become a member of the Clanton Gang, playing Tom McLaury, one of the 3 gunfighters killed during the 1881 shootout. The Earp brothers are famous today, but unlike a number of their contemporaries in the Wild West era, they weren't legends in their own time. Men like Buffalo Bill Cody, Wild Bill Hickok, and Bat Masterson actually saw fictionalized stories about their exploits in dime store novels written by authors such as Ned Buntline. Alas, other than in the local papers, the Earps didn't live to see their name in print. Decades after his battle with the Clanton Gang, Wyatt Earp settled in Los Angeles, where he found himself drawn to the burgeoning motion picture industry. He developed friendships with famous cowboy actors Tom Hicks and William S. Hart, both of whom were fascinated by tales of his real-life exploits. Yet, in spite of his showbiz contacts, Wyatt's exploits remained unsung until 2 years after his death, when author Stuart N. Lake published a biographical novel titled Wyatt Earp, Frontier Marshal. After the novel was serialized in the Saturday Evening Post, the Earp name at last caught fire in the American imagination. In 1934, the novel was made into a movie titled Frontier Marshal, but inexplicably, the name of the lead character was changed to Michael Wyatt. A few years later, a new version of the novel was made, with Randolph Scott portraying the appropriately named Wyatt Earp. Since then, a number of books, movies, and television episodes based on Earp's life have blossomed well beyond any expectations Wyatt may have had, leading truth to the self-fulfilling message embedded in the theme song of The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, a Desilu-produced television series of the 1950s. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
That's the song.
The red sky and skimpy facades of the Spectre of the Gun set decoration weren't created because the producers wanted viewers to remember that they were watching an illusion, or because they worried that the viewing audience, predominantly science fiction fans, wouldn't watch something that looked too much like a Western. No. Once again, the devil in the details was the same one the producers had wrestled with from the very beginning: budget. The script originally called The Last Gunfight, had been sitting on the corner of someone's desk since its submission early in the first season. But traveling to a rented Western town location was deemed too costly. At the last minute, just before production began on the third season, Robert Justman and director Vincent McEvedy agreed that a pared-down, inexpensive, false front building entirely on one soundstage would serve as the story. They turned, as usual, to the amazing talents of Matt Jeffries, and the result, a work of true surrealistic beauty, serves as a fine example of less is more. And that is all the block text has to say about Spectre of the Gun. I'm going to turn it over to Clobby in the chat now. What did you guys think of Block's coverage?
Pretty interesting. Again, I did not know that about DeForest Kelley. That was that, but I did know a little bit about Wyatt Earp. It's funny how this episode, and then some films, not all, it's funny how that legend of that character, just outside of Star Trek for a second here, goes from him being portrayed as a heavy a lot of times and as a big time hero. I mean, usually he's portrayed positively. Well, in this one, he's not. In Star Trek, he is not. I mean, the Hugh O'Brien TV show, you referenced that a little bit. There was James Garner played Wyatt Earp twice, not only in a gunfight at the OK Corral film, but in a film called Sunset. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that one, where he plays Wyatt Earp in his last years when he teams up with Tom Mix in a kind of a murder mystery movie. A lot of people don't like it. I actually kind of like that movie. Bruce Willis plays Tom Mix. Bruce Willis and James Garner. But and of course I love Tombstone. So and I like the old Hugh O'Brien TV shows, and I like the old Bat Masterson TV shows. So all these different iterations of Wyatt Earp, and here on Star Trek, I thought it's interesting. I guess you have to make it where, since the Clantons are the ones that most of them got killed, or a lot of them got killed, you had to make the Earps kind of the heavies, the bad guys in this. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think the concept actually is not invalid. I think the concept is kind of okay, but this episode is filled with a lot of clunky things. I think the most fascinating thing about the episode, I think the most interesting thing about it, is how you read about Matt Jeffries and them coming up with this great idea. If you're going to do this story, having the sets, because of budget concerns, look incomplete like they did, because that actually made pretty good sense. I thought they did a real nice job of adding that atmosphere for that story. It's just not a story I would have done. There's some clunky dialogue in this thing too. I don't know if this is But if this is, I don't know, passed down from production team, what's going on? Like a couple of times at the beginning of the episode, I can't stand when they do stuff like this. It doesn't make a lot of sense character-wise. It's tiny and it's a nitpick, but Kirk calling Spock science officer twice. What are you calling a science officer for? What is he pissed at him or something? What? Mm-hmm. Even call Scotty engineer later. I know tiny stuff, I understand, but it's just kind of stuff that grates on me. I'm like, what? I don't know. Is this the first episode these people have ever written?
Well, the thing is that I can tell you that I've done a great deal of research behind the scenes, and I can tell you that this was the episode where the executives came right out and spoke directly with the actors and started reprimanding them on how season 3 was going to be. And so they were mucking about, and a lot of what they did, wasn't pleasant. And I don't think that it helped. For me, like I always thought that the Melkonians made them the bad guys because they needed to prove that they weren't evil.
Yes.
So I buy into that the Melkonians would think, oh, these people are these creatures, they're terrible, violent creatures. Because the first thing the Melkonian says is, of course, you did not kill Kirk.
Yeah, it worked.
But the rest of this clunky stuff you're talking about, not only do I recognize it and I agree with you, but I can say that I talk a little bit in my notes about the fact that, like I said, this is by season 3, the executives that were involved with this production actually began to overrule previous behaviors from season 1 and season 2 and began telling people directly what they wanted and demanding that they do it.
Well, Fred Freiberger gets a lot of heat, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some of it, to be honest with you. So overall, I this is like a lot of things in season 3 for me personally, are the kind of story that I'm giving my druthers. I say, we're not going to do that. That being said, there are a lot of worse ones. And I think they did the best they could really with this, what was set out for them. And again, made very interesting by the atmosphere of the city, of the town. Mm-hmm. And some of that stuff I thought was kind of interesting, but on balance, I don't find this a particularly compelling episode. I do like some of the Star Trek stuff that is there, of course, about all the Melkosians. The one thing that I don't really understand is, I don't know, sometimes when you're told not to do, when a race says, look, don't come down to our planet, I think Kirk probably just said, okay, no. I know he was under orders to make contact, but I'm not so sure. So he just said, well, screw you. We're going to come down to your planet and beam down anyway. I don't know about that. I'm questioning that. I don't know about
that is a fair assessment. This isn't a perfect episode, that's for certain.
Yes. So you got some show notes on that one, or?
I sure do. Okay, so season 3, we see the end of the velour uniforms. Hello, polyester. As many of you know, I'm a cosplayer, so it's extremely important for me. So that's what this marks. This marks when we can actually start seeing adults wearing adult costumes that don't come up, 3/4 up their forearm. There's a reason. Hello, polyester. Anyhow, originally broadcast one day before the 87th anniversary of the actual gunfight at the OK Corral. So very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Duhan hated combing his hair back, and he was specifically told at the beginning of Star Trek that he was supposed to comb his hair back. He was not doing that. Of course, he was doing his beautiful military comb, quite a handsome man. And we all love his hair normal. He was specifically instructed through the executive team that he was supposed to start brushing his hair backwards. Which weird. He absolutely annoyed him. There was also a meeting where they said basically like that the first 2 seasons failed because they didn't utilize Hey, we're the monkeys. So they wanted a Chekhov-centric episode. And I always note this by making fun of the fact that Chekhov's the only one with 2 guns. So it's like they double gun him. So, this is what I mean about how the executives were messing about and mucking about at this point. And that's why it's also very important to watch in production order. Because if you're watching season 3, episode 1, and you think it's Spock's brain, you're getting a much different feel. But yeah, so we do see the executives going up to specific actors and going up to the production team and saying, look, we need more of this Monkeys character. We put Chekhov here because we wanted young women to, hey, we're the Monkeys, scream for this guy, and we're not using him. He's underused. And then, of course, I don't know why they thought that changing James Doohan's hair was somehow going to improve ratings. I like James the way that he was. I thought he was handsome.
Yes.
Gen X will note that the sparkling sound effect that you hear through the entire tombstone thing that happens, it's not really on a planet, right? It's more of inside of that machine, and it's happening in their minds, but whatever. That sparkling effect is the sound effect from Mork and Mindy when Mork is doing his Orson reports. So if you crank it up, it's pretty funny. I loved Mork and Mindy when I was young. So that's just a bit of trivia with Mork and Mindy. And fans have a love-hate relationship with this episode. It reminds me of The Twilight Zone. And what's really strange is, as I said, I don't pre-read the block text. So I actually use the same word all on my own. I also thought that it was a stroke of genius as far as surrealism goes, because it's a dream or nightmare state. I said that Jeffries is brilliant. I was blown away when I was young by this town and the fact that essentially it was an avatar town, and then this red hellish sky. And so for me, this was like super Twilight Zone, like old school Twilight Zone for me. So I really, really loved it. And I think that what Jeffries did here was just beyond cool. It has such a value of high art to me, because of the fact that all of the buildings are avatars, just as they are avatars. And it's sort of this Russian doll effect of ideas within this surrealism. So I love that it's this waking nightmare state. And I also said one of my favorite quotes, label it for external use only. I absolutely love the exchange over the booze. I think that it's hysterical, and I love it when Kirk says label it for external use only. And then of course we have Scotty taking a big old swig of it, and McCoy warning him that he's going to ruin his guts. And of course he doesn't care, because Scotty is a champ. Just the coolest guy ever. And so and that's all I have in my notes.
Yeah, Scotty's weird hair always freaked me out even early on. First time I saw it was because, again, like I said, although this is production order, like you said, they initially aired Spock's brain first, but in syndication here, they seem to show Spectre of the Gun first for some reason. But anyway,
it's weird that you should say that, because that's actually the same case in Canada. Like I remember this episode being in very high rotation up here as well. Same in my country, Captain.
Okay, well there you go. I guess they just switched them around. So, but yeah, again, I guess another thing that was at least pretty clever was their solution about Spock using the mind meld on them to help
not
them
be afraid
the bullets, right?
Yeah,
to not leave in the bullets.
Yes, to be so rational, to be of such a rational mind as to reject the very premise of this surrealistic atmosphere, this nightmare, this waking nightmare state, and that it wasn't real. They weren't even on a planet.
Right. And again, there's the thing. It's there was kind of that there's not without good ideas in this episode, certainly. And of course, all of a sudden, though, when it was finally over, boom, they're just back on the bridge. I'm like, huh? But that's kind of a strange cut for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, not certain. Again, remember everyone, we're in the 3rd season, so There's way worse, in my opinion, than this episode. I don't hate it or anything. Again, I just say I'm like a lot of ones in the season. Did they ask me? And they haven't. A little sort of a paraphrase quote of McCoy from Star Trek V. I'd say, and I don't know about the story, you guys. Nothing, no hate. Really, and believe me, I got plenty of hate for a lot of season 3. No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but you know what I'm saying. Criticism, how about that?
Yeah.
But so no, it's just not one that really does a whole lot for me personally, everyone.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'll do is I will get my wonderful first officer's rating of Spectre of the Gun. I'll give mine, and then I will ask our illustrious chat to give us theirs.
So James Caserta, at 16 minutes past the hour, he says, the more you partake in the illusion, the more real it becomes. And so, yeah, like it's fine for me to be, this communications and technology scholar, and I'm supposed to be this, highfalutin social scientist, and I'm going to give you this, masterful scholarly review of this episode. And I don't want to do that here. I know the backstory, and I understand the backstory. Now that I'm an adult and, half a century old. But I prefer to judge it the way that James Caserta has articulated through his comments. And that is this idea of this sort of cross between Fantasy Island, hard science fiction, and then this old school Twilight Zone episode, this creepy dream state, and not understanding or knowing anything that I knew as an adult. I'm going to allow my my childlike rating and my teen rating and my young adult rating to reign supreme here, because of what it did for me. I really love fine art. And as many of you know, I love comparative literature. I love illusion. I love surrealism. I love stream of consciousness. I love tinkering around with these ideas. And obviously, there are a lot of rough edges here, and there's lots to complain about. But just the entire premise of this avatars within avatars in this surreal dream state, nightmare state. I just love it, and I can't help it. And I have to be honest, I can't lie. I'm going to give this an A- for its dream state, its dreamlike nightmare. The surrealism is just, it's overwhelming for me, and it's to great effect on me.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. I'm going with the C- myself.
Wow, this is the first time you and I have not agreed on a rating. Can you believe it?
Well, we've had slight this. It would never this is probably the farthest one. Probably
this is the furthest we have ever. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
I'm sorry.
No, you're allowed. You're allowed. I'm glad.
I don't hate it though, really, because look, this is the 3rd season. I just have issues with a lot of the writing and the idea itself. I mean, I actually agree with a lot of what you say in terms of that. It's fascinating, the whole look to the town and everything.
Yeah,
is
just
interesting.
High art, like it's just.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, I like that.
Jeffries was amazing, wasn't he?
Oh, no, he was amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And we get Rex Holloman or whatever, who's in just about every Western ever, and it was also in Star Trek. Star Trek 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't have anything super bad to say about it. I just, I don't know. I'm not sure I would have done that. And then just, I don't know. I like it. It's not my favorite thing. Okay, but you're gonna have a lot of people agree with more than you would.
Totally respect you on that. And this is a very divisive episode. Literally, like if you go anywhere online and you look at people who have even approached it with a critical lens for quality, it's literally from D- all the way to A+. It really depends on this one. This is a very divisive episode.
Well, this is going to be, you're going to hear this rating a lot from me this season, probably, to be honest with you, and lower, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, things to come there. But the wonderful Sandra Feliciano is a B-. Thought like words have power. We can think things into being. That's how we have invented everything that has ever been created. Our imaginations have a huge effect on our lives. Absolutely well said. And that's
Lovely.
very nice. Absolutely. And I agree with something both you and then, of course, earlier, the great Mark D with the C had said about it. It kind of works more like a Twilight Zone episode if you think of it that way as
Yeah.
well, which I love.
That's what it does for me. And I would even go as far as to say that it doesn't even feel like Star Trek for me. I get
No.
so caught up in the art of this whole conception of Jeffries. It is outstanding. But I also accept all of the criticisms because they're all 100% correct.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, again, I don't have any strong dislike for it. I used to actually more than I do now because I had to watch it a bunch. NCC 1701D. There are 4 lights.
Love you, Ace. That's a great rating.
Oh. Snortapoopus. Cuber. I should make you say that from now on. Overall, a C. They got the history wrong about who lived and died at the real shootout. But yeah, because it wasn't really supposed to be exactly accurate. They were just pulling this out of Kirk's mind. But I hear you. The surreal aspect of it is still its best aspect. I will definitely agree with that. James Doohan's new hairstyle was awful. It always bugged me. The first time I saw him, what in the hell?
Sorry to interrupt you, Clobby. Just so you know, Snortapoopus, they kept at him for this haircut or for this hairstyle. They actually kept at him. You'll see it again. They kept at him, and they kept at the whole idea of hey, we're the monkeys as well.
Hey, with the monkeys. People say we monkey around. Yes, the mind trick at the end with the bullets passing through the air. But yeah, that was good. That was again interesting and a nice idea. A+ for James Caserta.
Ooh, nice one.
It's a big fan of Spectre of the Gun. Thank you. 2 out of 2. Raymond's being tough tonight, man.
He does. It's because he's hanging out with LT. No, that's not true.
Maybe hanging out with LT. I can't wait. I can't wait to see LT. Come on, LT. Don't let me down. A++ for Dr. Hercules.
Yeah.
For the mustache game in this episode. For the episode, I've probably seen this episode more than any other because of syndication. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, quick side note, Dr. Hercumonkey has informed me and been nice enough to send the link that the 4D man is on YouTube. He sent me a link, here. And I sent you a link too to your Twitter DM, Raquel. But anyone out there, you can find the 4D man on YouTube. In fact, I'll put it in the link if you ever want. I'm going to watch that later.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Hercumonkey. Dr. Hercumonkey.
You're the man. So everyone, I put a link in the chat for that.
Wicked.
I hope the link works there. I think I put it in there. All right, anyway, so thank you, Dr. Hercumonkey. He was a big fan of that episode.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I beg your pardon. Please forgive me, Captain. Canadian Spider-Man at 23 minutes past the hour. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. Hard to sleep in camp. I got to bail and sleep. Great stream. Good night, everyone. Canadian Spider-Man, we love you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Have a great sleep. Buddy. Be safe at work, please. Thank you so much for stopping in. And we'll see you next week. Okay, sweetheart? Bye, hon.
Hey, buddy. Canadian Spider-Man, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome, by the way, Doug35. Good to see you.
Hey, nice. Doug35, you're back. It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. Pat S. C. Clobbering. If you were ever my friend, if you ever had the slightest, he's quoting Tombstone. Love it.
Yeah.
Slightest feeling for me. Leave now and never come back. Thanks for always being there, Raquel. Yeah, he's putting your name as Wyatt. Looks down at his boots, dying. That's funny. I love Tombstone. One of my favorite movies, Pat asks. God, I love it. That is a great scene. Yeah. And thanks for always being there, Raquel. That's right. That was Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer in that wonderful. God, I love that movie. Yep. And then you're going to make me want to go watch Tombstone again, dude. I can't help it.
It's a great movie.
Oh, God, it's so great. I don't care, and whether it's not completely accurate, they left out one Earth brother, but I like it way better than that Costner crap.
Apparently, the mistakes are aplenty here,
Oh yeah,
I like to think that is due to the faulty human memory. So the entire situation is supposed to be cast through a very narrow memory of Kirk. So I mean, you can excuse it that way, but it is upsetting for people who really love Tombstone and really love the OK Corral and the whole story that came out of it. Right? It's an important American story.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Again, it was, but we knew what they were trying to do. Again, since the threat needed to be against the Enterprise crew, you had to make the ERPs the heavies because the Enterprise, because that was the threat. So, Canadian Spider-Man B+ because I like Scotty's role in it.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
I love Scotty.
Zatras, C+. But if Walker Texas Ranger was in it, it would get an A+++++. And they call him Scuba Peach as a C+. Spectre just isn't the caliber we are used to.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a long shot. It felt like Three Amigos meets Twilight. The Amigos. Well,
did you know that Scuba Pete? Did you know that the Three Amigos is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, and it is one of my top 3 comedies of all time. The Three Amigos is just, if you want to get me hysterically ugly laughing, throw that on. It is just so great, and I definitely sing the campfire song at the top of my lungs.
I really like that movie. Cool. I hadn't seen that in a while. I'd like to watch that again. That's a fun movie. Really is. Lord Thoth, C+. Wow, he's nicer than me tonight. Wow. Surreal. I have had this nightmare. It is like a bad PTSD daymare.
Yeah.
The Western theme is not surprising considering the time. No standout quotes or acting standouts. That's fair enough. Yeah.
What a great rating. Like, just absolutely. I just absolutely support everything that you said there. Excellent.
Indeed. J.T. Kirk. Rating, 1 bullet in the 6-shooter. As an 80s baby, the Old West TV and movies are out of my time. But that said, this set looks cheap and deserted with little to no wildlife and extras. That's true, J.T. Kirk, but it was done because they didn't have a gigantic budget. They came up with this really, I think, to me, that's the best thing about the episode, this idea of it's incomplete because the Melkotians, they don't, they're reaching inside of Kirk's head, who hasn't been to that time either. And it just makes a lot of sense that it looks that way. Yeah. In fact, if it had looked like a full set, which there were plenty of those around back then, because there were a lot of TV Westerns, I think that might have cheapened it a little bit with a bunch of people walking around that looked like a real one. I think this makes the episode, I think it's the cleverest thing about it, personally. But I hear you. Eric K. C. This was kid of I guess
why is everybody mad about plethora? Why is everybody freaking out in the chat about plethora? What's wrong? Doesn't anyone know what plethora means? What's happening?
I've even heard Spock say plethora, so I don't know what they're talking about. Interesting, but not great. The great Eric K. I don't know what's going on. We'll get to it though.
That's a fair rating, Eric K.
Inception. There you go, James Caserta. This is not an episode I will sit down and watch if it is on. Yeah, I kind of had to go back and watch it because it's not what I watched. It's not what I watch over and over again like the second and first season ones, but yeah, I mean, I've watched it a lot, don't get me wrong, but unlike Raquel, who can watch them all like in order all the time, I jump all over the place like crazy. So I watch my favorite ones over and over again. If it's one I'm not super in love with, I'll, once in a while go back because it'll feel like watching something relatively newer. But yeah, if I'm just needing some Trek, I go to some of my top sources. Marked it with a C, A-, 4 out of 5 tumbleweeds. Great 5 sets. And a plausible explanation of how they got there. True. Several flaws, but Kirk shows Federation's peaceful intentions to make First Contact favorite episode as a kid. I agree with that. I just don't understand why, when he was told to leave, he probably just kind of said, he should have said, well, they said don't come here, so don't beam down.
It's
If
not
they beam
without its
down,
faults. It's
here's
not
the thing.
without its faults. That's why I accept all of the bad reviews and I accept all of the heavy criticism, because this episode deserves all of that heavy criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we continue, can I just say, Steve Mitchum, I love that you're actually throwing up all of the lyrics. I actually want to start doing the horses right now. Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, sorry.
No problem. No problem. But yeah, again, I mentioned that earlier. The bad guy from he was on a lot of westerns, but he was also, I mentioned that was Rex Holman. He was in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. A minus, still just playing good sci-fi from the great Rod Thunderheart. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, is this what you're talking about? Oh, let's see. No, taken with the rest of season 3. I don't hate it. 7 out of 10. Doc Holliday's medical bags. Take my bag. Yep. With RAQUEL on the street set design. The acting was good. B minus.
Mwah. These are the Steves I know. These are the Steves I know.
He commented that he finally got to change the hair pretty much. Yeah, they did change it. It's pretty later in the season. They finally got rid of that stupid stuff. Brad Fisher is. I like it more now than I did as a kid. B now for me, for Brad Fisher. Thank you.
Lovely.
But yes, Dr. Hercule Monkey thing again. Thank you again, everyone. There's that link for the 4D Man, which I will be watching soon again, because it's been decades since I've seen it. It's probably so if it doesn't hold up, blame me, everyone. But I remember, all I know is I loved it as a kid. It's good, and I even watched it as an adult later, like in the 80s or whatever, 90s, and thought it was silly and still loved it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've got all of our ratings taken care of. I think we're done with the ratings and we're ready to move on to our final episode of the evening, my first officer.
Yes, Captain. Aye, Captain.
Phoenix Argus, welcome.
I came late again. That's okay, Phoenix.
That's all right. We're glad to see you.
We're on Elan of Troyes. Season 3, episode 13, prod code 57. Can you guys believe we've done 57 episodes?
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I hope I spelled Troyes right. Probably didn't.
It's okay.
That's a made-up spelling anyway.
It is a made-up spelling because, as I've taught you all earlier, all of the Greek suffixes are is, as, os for masculine. So it would not be us. Anyway, let's keep going. So we're on the weird brick number 269, 270. And let's do it. The planet Elas and Troyes are both considered members of the Federation, but their inhabitants have been at war with each other for many years. Now, with the Klingon Empire showing increasing interest in the region, it has become imperative for the two populations to come together in peace. To facilitate a treaty, the Enterprise escorts Elan, the dolmen or ruler of Elas, to Troyes, where she is to be united in matrimony to that world's leader. But the temperamental and arrogant dolmen wants no part of this arranged union. After Elan seriously wounds the Troyan ambassador who has been attempting to improve her social graces, Kirk is forced to take on the role of her tutor, a task made far more difficult by the Elasian woman's peculiar body chemistry, which elicits a heated response from Kirk. Elan of Troyes was indicative of many, though not all, of the episodes produced for Star Trek's third season. Costumes, makeup, and script were all overblown, perhaps more suitable to science pulp than to the show's earlier attempts at straightforward storytelling in a unique setting. The most interesting element in this episode is the one seen only fleetingly. The newly created Klingon D7 battlecruiser, designed by art director Matt Jeffries. He aimed at creating a vessel that would be instantly recognizable as an enemy ship, especially, he explained, for a flash cut. There had to be no way it could be mistaken for our guys. It had to look threatening, like the manta ray from which he drew part of his inspiration. Elan marked the D7's first appearance in Star Trek, and although the spacecraft represents the Klingon Empire's standard fighter spacecraft, it would briefly become the ship of choice for Romulans as well. In the Enterprise incident, Spock seems to allude to an alliance between the Romulans and the Klingons when he states, intelligence reports Romulans now use Klingon design. A more practical explanation might have been Star Trek's waste not, want not philosophy. If you're going to spend the money on an expensive new model, you better be prepared to use it on camera, even when it's not exactly what the situation calls for. This is great. This is great coverage. Because the original model of the D7 was created for use in distance shots, it has minimal details. Nevertheless, the greenish hull, long neck, and bulbous front bridge made it instantly identifiable. More advanced models of Klingon spaceships derived from this design would appear in the Star Trek films and in television series that followed the original series. Pictured is Jeffries' original model of the Klingon D7 battle cruiser, which he donated to the Smithsonian Institute National Air and Space Museum in 1973. The sequence that was shot for Elan of Troyes was left on the cutting room floor, or a sequence, I'm sorry. The sequence took place on the Enterprise's rec room, which had apparently seen a serious upgrade since its last appearance during the show's second season. The set description notes, it resembles a psychedelic arboretum. The curve of the ship's bulkheads can be seen beyond the tops of the trees. Flowers of all kinds flourish. Oh my goodness, you guys, I didn't know any of this. A fountain sparkles in the lawn in pink grass. Pink grass? Members of the crew sit on benches and flat rocks, talking or playing three-dimensional chess. A group exercises. And that's the end of the description. The sequence was meant to follow Elan's attack on Petri, the Troyan ambassador, and precede Kirk's first attempt to teach the dolman some manners. Kirk, McCoy, and Spock, who is playing his Vulcan lute, referred to in the scene as a lyre, discuss the need to appoint a new etiquette instructor. Logic dictates that Kirk, as the person aboard of the highest rank, is the only appropriate choice. Kirk isn't happy about that, but perhaps if a bit of soothing music were piped into Elan's quarters during the lesson. Kirk exits, and McCoy wanders off as well. But Uhura, who has been observing, sticks around for this rather awkward exchange with Spock. Uhura, Mr. Spock, that music really gets to you, Spock. Yes, I find it relaxing. Uhura, relaxing. It's, I don't know what to call it, but relaxing's not the word. Spock, most interesting. I suppose it works differently on non-Vulcan nervous systems. Uhura, I'd certainly like to learn how to play that. Spock, I'd be glad to give you the theory. The mathematics, are somewhat complex. To my knowledge, no non-Vulcan has ever mastered the skill. You see, we Vulcans have a natural rhythm. It is unclear why this sequence was cut out of the episode. All that remains are some of the earlier drafts of the script and a few slides that convey the visuals. It could be that the scene was running too long and that this was the most extraneous scene, or that someone decided Uhura was paying way too much attention to Mr. Spock. Or it could be that someone on staff suddenly recalled that Uhura was no stranger to the Vulcan instrument. I was just going to say that. Having accompanied Spock playing with some vocals in the first season of Charlie X, and played it herself when she serenaded Riley in The Conscience of the King. So I was just going to say that. So thank goodness that she said that. Well, Gene Roddenberry came up with the concept of the transporter, creating the transporter room and unique platform within, fell to the imagination of the individuals on the set design team. Always on the lookout for quick and less expensive ways of doing things, the team found the perfect item for the one component right on the set. Fresnel lens from a 10,000 kilowatt light set. French physicist Augustine Jean or Jean Fresnel. Oh, and she says it is pronounced Fresnel. Oh, I guess so. It's Fresnel. Invented the lens in 1822. Although it's unlikely he expected his invention would one day help in scattering molecules across the galaxy. The lens is composed of concentric glass prisms that bend and concentrate light as a transporter, quote unquote, pad. It not only provided a transparent portal for the illumination that would help to sell the transporter effect, but it also made a futuristic looking spot for a pair of feet. And that is all the block text has to say on Ilan of Troyes. And I learned so much. Oh my goodness. I had no idea about this forgotten scene. So cool. What are your thoughts on this coverage, Clobby?
Well, like you, I had not heard about that before, so weird. By the way, goodbye, Lord Thoth had to run. So
good night, Lord Thoth. LT, good night.
We will announce your rating and when we get to it, buddy, I promise. But yes, no, it's this is again, we're sort of in the same type of territory we are with Spectre. The Gun With Me. This episode has I don't hate it or anything, has some good things in it. In syndication, Enterprise Incident was and I guess and obviously an air date as well was shown before this. So that and then the Klingon ship thing, but again they do mention that I guess they do I guess when they got around to using it for Enterprise Incident, they just said, well, just they didn't want to go back and use the old bird of prey or what, I don't know. But I always liked the D7, so
yeah,
I really like that Klingon battlecruiser. I always liked that ship.
I'm just totally blown away by the pictures that I just saw in the book too, like of what this new wreck area would have looked like, and I'm so happy that we covered this and that I read from the block text here because I had no idea. I'm totally blown away right now.
Wow, it would have been nice to see, wouldn't it? That would have been nice to see. Dr. Harkey, I've been trying to figure out what I've seen that guy, Jay Robinson, and who plays Petrie, ever since I watched that episode again today. I'm trying to remember. I've seen the guy in a lot of stuff. I don't remember Dr. Shrinker. I mean, I remember the show, but I don't if or whatever that was you're talking about, but I don't think I ever got to see it, if I remember right anyway. So I don't know, but I've seen him in a lot of stuff. And I've been when I'm that way. Sometimes, number one, if I'm watching an old show or something and I see an actor that I've probably seen in something and I just can't remember what it aggravates me. I'm like, what did I see that subbitch in? What was he? The Taming of the Shrew, as we all know, is this episode.
Yep. Helen of Troy as well. For those who have read the Iliad, like myself, if you love the Iliad, you can definitely see Helen of Troy here if you're a fan of Homer. Yeah,
I think this is kind of just another one of those. For third season, certainly there's a lot more terrible things in that third season. This one's not a bad. I don't think this is a bad episode by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just. I don't know. I guess you only have so much time in the episode. So some of the stuff, Kirk falling in love fast. I mean, at least you had a good plot device for that. Her tears and all that kind of stuff. She sure fell in love with him pretty quick. If she was really in love with him, I guess she was. Some of that stuff is pretty touching. Some of that stuff is pretty good. One of my favorite elements of the episode. I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than I did like very much one of the character aspects of the episode where basically at the end when McCoy finally finds a cure, but Spock tells him, "You're too late, Doctor. There's already been a cure." Basically, it's the Enterprise. As he didn't, Kirk, overcame it with his love for the Enterprise. That was going to be enough.
I know. I just love it.
I love that. The episode.
It's great.
Yeah, it is. Other than that, to me, this is kind of a standard sort of, I have no strong feelings, hate for it whatsoever. Not to harp on it, but the remaster does let you get to see a couple. I mean, I know some people don't like remastered, but I kind of like getting to see more of the Klingon ship. That's kind of fun for me, so that's okay. But yeah, I don't need the remastered. I'm just saying that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's just kind of a middling episode for me. So you got some show notes?
I sure do. So France Nguyen is widely believed to be the first person of Vietnamese heritage to appear on U.S. television.
Oh.
And that is said everywhere, though I can't verify it. I'm Canadian, so we have Canadian content laws up here. So I did grow up with a great deal of Canadian content. So it's not something I can verify, but it's interesting. Here, so you're going to hear some pretty odd stuff because this is me just making notes. So Kirk is freshly dyed. So if you're one of those people who's watching that rug move around on his head, he's freshly dyed here, including his sideburns, which I always find amusing. He looks like he's dipped in shoe polish on this episode. The story is based on Homer's Iliad, Helen of Troy, and Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. In naval news, belly button news. The censorship of the belly button and its appearance is once again on display. The belly button ban was officially out of force at this time, but appears to be in force, with executives trying not to offend the audience. So we're getting more of that executive people coming in and sort of saying, we don't know what's not working with this show, but let's just not offend anybody. So we're back to hiding the belly buttons again. The guard costumes are placemats, which everyone knows. Everyone knows that. TNG totally ripped off this episode in The Perfect Mate, 1992. If you've watched The Perfect Mate, you know it ripped off this episode large. Mel Brooks based his Spaceball princess Vespa on Elon. Fans have a love-hate episode, or fans have a love-hate relationship with this episode. I also put, this is another excellent interracial relationship episode in 1968. So I love seeing these interracial relationships. I just love the message that it sends, and I think that it's absolutely beautiful. And extremely important, because, of course, there were all these rules and taboos and prejudices back then, and this kind of thing is incredibly important. So, yeah, and that's about it, I think. Yeah, that's all I have on this. I don't really have much on this episode.
TNG also referenced it in the episode Relics.
Yes, of course, because of Scotty.
Kid about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that was something. Again, don't have a lot. Certainly don't have anything terrible to say about it or anything like that. I just thought it was sort of, certainly there are definitely a lot worse ones in the third season. There's some good stuff in it. I mean, certainly. By the way, do you have any opinion or comment on the sexist line that's that Spock, that Kirk has for Spock? Mrs. Spock, the women on your planet are logical. That's the only planet on the galaxy that can, like that came out claim. I'm sure that would not go over well today with some, but I mean, look, men and women tease each other all the time, and pop. So to me, that kind of stuff, I don't care.
It doesn't bother me because, as a scholar, I make sure that I put everything in socio-historical context. And when you put things into socio-historical context, it removes outrage. I'm not bothered by those comments because I'm a very logical person. Right. And because it was made at a time when, that was the prevailing attitude. That's not going to make me dislike the show or be offended. As a matter of fact, I don't even pay attention to it. I don't allow my feathers to get ruffled like other people do. Other people really, really, they're very. I hate to use this word, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this word. They're showing an excessive amount of frailty with words, and words are just words. I realize that words can hurt, and it's very important not to say things that are hurtful to other people. And certainly I'm not advocating that you hurt other people. I'm just saying that I think sometimes people can behave as though they are veritable raw nerves, as it were. And I'm just not one of them. I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit more steely than that, pragmatic. But yeah, certainly, I'm certain that the younger generation could find a lot of fault in this episode and be very upset about it, and that's unfortunate.
Well, and not only that, I mean, by the way, men are just as illogical anyway. But I mean, the point being is, men and women take shots at each other all the time, and it's all, what the hell, some good fun. So, and I like was you can. I don't. If it were the other way around, men wouldn't get mad at it either at the time. It's just like they would just laugh because why can't we just pick on each other? Nothing wrong with that anyway. But
yeah, and I hate to say it, but the thing is, I'm going to say something really controversial, but I'm just going to say it. Sometimes the teasing has a little tiny nugget of truth to it, and that's okay too. Like the world won't end. Yeah, I don't feel oppressed by this episode. I think it's absolutely glorious, and if it were written better, I would have enjoyed it. I would also like to say that there are a whole bunch of really nice comments coming up in the chat, and lots of wonderful compliments, and just a whole bunch of really nice men saying a whole bunch of really wonderful things. And I just want you all to know that I just love you guys so much. You're just so respectful and so supportive and so gentlemanly and so kind to me. I just love you guys and appreciate you so much. You guys are just absolutely wonderful, and thank you so much for the wonderful comments and compliments. I'd like to turn the chat's attention to my buddy Scuba Pete at 48 minutes past the hour. He says, "Executive belly button meddling, sons of bitches."
Oh,
sorry, I've been reading for nearly 3 hours, so I fell on that one a little bit. Belly button meddling, meddling, sons of bitches.
There you go.
Scuba Pete, I love that.
Oh, James Andrew Morrison popped in. Hello there. Welcome. So I guess we'll go ahead and rate Alana Troyes. I will get your rating. I'll give mine, and then we will ask our illustrious chat to help us rate our final episode of the evening.
Okay, so Captain, I just can't. It's a C+ to a B-. For me, this is just not one of my favorite episodes. Although I do love the fact that it's got this interracial kiss in it, and it's passionate and beautiful. And I think it's one of the unsung heroes of crossing that boundary. And everybody always puts the emphasis on the Uhura kiss. So I love that. I also love this actress, Miss Nguyen. Is just absolutely a glorious French woman, and is just so beautiful, captivating. It's a lot of fun. I like that she throws things at him, including daggers and all of that. But it's just not very good. I'm sorry, but this is
nothing to be sorry about. No.
This the maximum I would give this for just the delightfulness of it would be a B-, but it truly deserves a C to a C+.
Gotcha. Nothing to be sorry about at all. You can give it an F, and no one, you're fine. But there you go. And for me, it's a C-. Again, I mean, it's and we're in the third season here, so it's not. I have nothing really bad to say about it. Some of that stuff with the guards or whatever doing, some of the stuff that went along with them. I don't know. Some of when they sabotaged the ship, it's fine. Certainly middling. It's just the third season has a lot of issues and problems. So we'll get.
It does.
Yeah, it's got its faults there. Let's see if we can. I hope we're starting at the right spot, everyone, for our review, for our ratings. Rod, let's see. I thought I had Rod. Oh, God, this thing jumps on me. Sorry, everyone. All right. Yeah, by the way, I love her too. I think I've seen her in other stuff, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I hope this is the first one, everyone, because like I said, it's tough to see these chats go and everything. So, A+, but I'm a toxic male for Rod Thunderheart. Thank you, sir.
She is very beautiful, and it's so much that it does have a lot of appeal. I just wish it were executed better.
Yeah, they can't all be charmers. What they do. So, everyone, I'm waiting for some more. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I think we got Eric K. C plus from Eric K. She was sexy, strong, and yet vulnerable. I might even give this one to C plus. Oh, I did not mind Kirk falling for her over her tears. Yeah, you had to have something. That's fine. Us humans and even polar bears like
Snortopoopas,
Scuba. Fall for sense. There you go.
Doug
Sandra.
35 is right above that. At 55 minutes past the hour. Doug 35, I think.
I'm sorry. Sorry, we'll get to you in a second.
It's okay. It looks different on this side, folks.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I didn't know that was a rating. It's 2 levels of grading. As episode, it's a C minus.
Yeah.
And again, Sandra, let's see here, is a B. She was in love with the idea of him rather than with him. She did just meet him after all. Yeah. He was the first man to tell her no. She found that fascinating and alluring. In the end, he taught her the meaning of doing one's duty.
Okay, so can we just pause here for 1 second and just go back to Sandra Feliciano?
We can.
Okay, let's talk about how awesome this comment is. This really fleshes out exactly how I feel. I really liked that whole idea of Kirk becoming her escape place, a place where she could escape her duty and this undesirable situation, and she could have adventures and stay on the ship. It's so funny that Sandra's brain went in that same direction as mine, because that's exactly what I thought. She's in love with the idea of him rather than him. And again, he was the first man to tell her no. I really like this, because this is the difference between power and gender. And if you're Gen X or a boomer and you're an older person, I'm Gen X, you definitely know that this is a huge issue for us. So I liked the fact that she had all of this power and chose to a man who would challenge her and take that power away from her, take that regalness away from her. So I also love that, Sandra Feliciano. And then she found that fascinating and alluring. Absolutely, I agree. In the end, he taught her the meaning of doing one's duty. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I love this comment. Love, love, love it. In Sandra Feliciano's comment, you can see an intelligent woman looking at the potential in this episode. And I absolutely love these comments.
Thank you, Sandra. Well done. Absolutely. Raymond Feliciano, B. It was okay, but the Dolphin was okay, but the Dolphin was stunning.
Yeah.
And a good actress. I agree with that, sir. Yeah. Doug 35 was as horny. It's a B plus. I hear you, man. The Great Ace Cast Iron, NCC 171C, because Kirk is the man. He absolutely is.
He is.
By the way, Lord Thoth was a C. He had to run, but the Great Lord Thoth was a C.
Okay, good. I expected that from LT.
He was higher than mine. That's twice in a row. His rating's been higher than mine, or 3. He's been I'm the new Lord Thoth tonight.
What are you doing? What's happening? I'm sending you all my coal.
He could have mind melded with me or something.
Yeah.
Placed his katra in me. Here's Thoth's rating. This was a C. Too much male gaze. I'm shocked at all this sex and tears. Mark, did we get yours yet, bud? I'm sure it's coming.
I love that. That's a great, great, great comment. I love that.
Pat S, my buddy. C. I guess again, I get confused when they put that there, if that's supposed to be delineate between the sentence or if there's a C minus. So, you know what I mean?
Let's go with C minus, Pat S.
I'm gonna think it's a C minus. Again, just confusing for me, but I'm not sure. C minus. Did Kirk have some kind of sensors in his lips? Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna say yes to that. I don't know what else to say to that. Is that why he has to put his mouth on every?
Yeah. That's where Spurpies come. That's where Spurpies comes from, Pat S. That's what we call it around here. It's when Kirk locks lips with any lips. Just any lips will do. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I just I somehow don't have a problem with any of that, Pat. JT Kirk, B-. I think minus.
Yeah.
I really was hoping to see the steamy scene where Kirk teaches her about this spanking. Oh, the spanking, when he tells her about a spanking. Simpler times, my friend. And even the 2021, that line made me my jaw drop. Yeah,
there's two ways of looking at that, JT Kirk, because I'll tell you something, like you were allowed to like whip and beat your wife in many times in history. So that might be, some people might look at that comment and be, oh, why are you saying stuff like that? I'm not going to say that to you, because I think that if you know Gene Roddenberry, there's a bit of kink in there. And so those little spankies, I don't think that those are like, go out and get a stick and beat your wife with it if she misbehaves. It's more like a little kinky spanky. So that's a funny comment.
Yeah. I was trying to find I gotta say it fast. Snortapoopa, dude, that name, man. I'm gonna say SQB from now on, if you don't mind. Oh, there he gave it a B. The ALS versus Troy's planet names are unoriginal. The battle scenes were interesting. Kirk was his usual tricky self. Okay, I just wanted to go. I backtracked to that one, buddy.
Snortapoopas.
Snortapoopas. All right. And to call him Scuba Pete. Spankings.
Yeah.
Behave.
See, that's it, Scuba Pete.
So you mentioned C+. 6 out of 10 bottles of baby formula. Sorry, I'm on Judy tonight. I got you, brother.
Kiss Maddie for me, please. Give her a cute little kiss on her forehead. Tell her the whole chat loves her. She's adorable.
Adorable, absolutely, brother. I hope you're getting some sleep, bub. Looking for some more ratings here, folks. Hang on. Here we go with the great Mark D with a C. C, 3 out of 5 Elysian Tears. Shades of Journey to Babel with Taming of the Shrew thrown in for good measure. Weak episode in Superficial. Kirk's true love, the 1701, is more powerful than Elysian Tears. Indeed, sir. I cannot argue with any of that, my brother. As a teenager, when this was in reruns, I would give it an A for Pretty Lady quotient. Sure.
Yes.
But as an adult, the story was B-. For Brad Fisher.
Comment.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Great comment. Excellent.
But Pat S is a C-.
Yep.
For us there. Porno track.
Yeah, it's got a little kink in there, right?
Well, there's not. I don't have a problem with that for sure.
I just wanted to mention it because a lot of people would say, "Oh, why is he talking about spanking the women and blah blah?" Yeah. But that was
a common thing back
socio-historical context.
Yeah.
It's if you know Gene Roddenberry, he likes the ladies and possibly a little spanky. So I don't think it's disrespectful. It's just a little more kinky than perhaps it should be in 1968, but most enjoyable, especially to talk about in 2021.
Well, back then that happened in a lot of movies and television and things like that. It was just like some dude, would put a lady over his knee and the spoiled brat type thingy, the Taming with the Shrew thingy stuff. It happened in movies back then, and it was just kind of considered something different, I guess.
Yes.
So.
I guess I'm just hard to offend. I'm not very offended.
I hope so. Aren't we all? I'm offended by you not being easy to offend, by the way. Well, I think we got all of our ratings taken care of. And everyone, that's 4 more episodes in the can for yeah. It was just something in his rating system. It was just Steve Bishop's here. Hi, bro. So I think Phoenix. We got another one? Phoenix? I'm sorry, Phoenix. Okay, let's see what you got. Any more ratings, everyone? Please throw them up.
Are you sure that's Phoenix? Isn't that Phoenix?
Oh, Phoenix.
I believe that might be Phoenix because of Phoenix Fox.
Phoenix. It could be. Sure. I can barely see that far on my screen. It's way back.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. There are so many languages and so many disciplines going on in this chat, and so many different academic disciplines and science and make believe, and it's all good, Captain.
I think Doomcock calls them that. That's why I just.
Maybe that. Yeah.
I'm just used to Doomcock or Gary saying that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I don't know. I know it's not spelled the way the traditional.
Maybe it's Fennec Fox.
Could be Phoenix Argus.
No, but I'm saying maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Fennec Fox, not Phoenix Fox. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, if we're getting your name wrong or right, FA,
correct us. Yeah,
we love you, man.
Correct us. Anyway, he says, I don't even know if it's a he, but FA says it's a solid B for me. Love her costumes. The makeup, not so much, but Kirk willing to change Elan. Challenge Elan authority, which she found arousing was fun until she was told he's not her captain. Kink.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
See, I totally agree, and I thought that the makeup was interesting, especially the wigs, because it was like they had
Phoenix.
thrown some Egyptian in there. So it is Phoenix. Okay, so it's just you spelled it the phonetic way of Phoenix instead of PH. Okay, all right, I gotcha.
Excellent. Thank you, Phoenix. Appreciate that. I think we finally got all of our ratings up there. So I think we got our ratings taken care of. Yes, indeed, Eric K., the wonderful Raquel Briggs.
Oh, thank you, Eric. I love you. Thank you.
Yes, a link to Raquel's wonderful work, science fiction work, of course. We also have, our good buddy Raymond Feliciano is an author of a book, and he's got a new book coming out, but he's got this one that I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Raymond Feliciano, author of All's Fair, a Dolphin Wars novel. And that link is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So did I disgrace my species again? Not at all.
We love you, Snortapoopus.
Snortapoopus. Not at all. It takes me, look, I'm not very bright. It takes me a while to learn how to pronounce names like that. We're good, though. Anyway, I tell you what, Doc, I think it's time for Doc to play us out. What do you think, Ed? Oh, you are correct, sir. Oh, magnificent one. Doc, Ed, I think you've had a little bit too much to drink tonight, Ed, to be honest. Clobbering time. Let's see. Peacemaker. Oh, okay. Peacemaker is out now. I presume, Raymond, that would be the next.
It is. I think so. I think that's what you mentioned last night. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, everyone in the chat, don't forget, Rod Thunderheart writes romance novels.
He does.
And so if you're looking at reading a romance novel or buying a romance novel, especially from a man's perspective, which I think is incredibly interesting, you should definitely check out Rod Thunderheart's Twitter. He has a URL where you can get a hold of one of his books.
Absolutely. Rod's the man. Rod Thunderheart. Love you, brother. Thank you, Eric. The great Eric K has it up there.
Snortapoopus. Huber. He says, I must away to bed. Way past my bedtime. 2 nights in a row. Mr. Snortapoopus. Huber. We love you.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for stopping by. And we hope to see you next Saturday.
We hope so. We hope to see everyone next Saturday. This is just a blast for us. We'll have 4 more episodes. We're into that 3rd season. We're going to make it happen. It may not be easy. We're going to do it. And before I say our goodbyes, show notes. Again, this Monday night, my old friend Carlos joins me. Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk on Clobbering Times, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be talking. Listen, the topic will be DC and Marvel, are they really that different? We're going to dispel a lot of myths and misconceptions about the differences between Marvel and DC Comics. We're going to do it with some comic book history and things like that. Just general conversation about that between 2 geeks who know way more about comics than they really should, to be honest. Probably.
Oh, I'm very excited.
It will be fun. Oh, well, thank you so much. I love that. And Wednesday night will be some open geekness. I don't know, just whatever's going on. And again, Thursday, the Global Geek Gang will reconvene 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for some open geek foolishness there. And next Saturday night, everyone, right back here, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. The wonderful first officer, the greatest first officer in the fleet, the wonderful Raquel, and I will be reviewing 4 more episodes of Star Trek: The Original Series from season 3. And we appreciate you all so much for being here with us tonight. We're going to say our shout out goodbyes now, if you are ready. Number 1.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much for your kind words. And thank you so much to the chat for coming. And definitely sit tight if you want to hear us yell out your name, because each and every one of you is important to us. You are a very important part of this community. Thank you so much for every single comment that you made tonight, and for your brilliance and for your ideas and opinions, and just helping to build a sense of community here. I just love you guys. It's an honor to do this show for you. Thank you for coming.
We appreciate you so much. A big shout out, of course, to the great Steve Mitchum. Yo, brother. Thanks, buddy.
Yes.
Have a great weekend, rest of the weekend there, brother. And best to Maddie. We love you, man. The great Ace Cast Iron, superhero extraordinaire. Love you, bud. Dude, can't wait to see you when you get back, buddy. We gotta have some fun, some old style hanging out, brother. Can't wait, man. Hope you're doing great. But the great Lord Thoth had to run, but he gets a shout out anyway because we love him. He's the man. Lord Thoth is a great one and a great friend and a member of the Global Geek Gang. By the way, Ash did not make it here tonight. He had something to do, but we still love Ash. I'm gonna have to. I'll get Ash's ratings from him if he's seen those episodes. So even though he's not here, he's a good pal and a good friend of the show. So we love Ash Singh.
Just so you know, Ash Singh is going to be providing his ratings to the community. So when he's done doing the thing that he went to go do, he's definitely got those ratings ready, folks.
Absolutely. The extraordinary Eric K, great friend of the show. Thanks for all your help as always, buddy. You are the man. You are a wonderful friend of the show, my buddy, and we really appreciate you, pal.
Absolutely love you. Thank you for all of your support and all of your hard work. And just, I say it all the time, but your help in producing this show and building this community with us has just been so important to us. And I enjoy your company immensely. Thank you so much, Eric K.
Absolutely. And the extraordinary Felicianos, Resin, Raymond, and Sandra. We love you, and we really, really just appreciate you being here, my friends.
Can we just talk about, so like the Felicianos are like the power couple. I love them. They're so romantic and wonderful, and they're smart and funny, great people. But can we just talk about what a rock star Sandra was tonight? Like her comments.
Well, she's always
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Draco Argentus popping in at the last second there. Draco, thank you for popping in. Good to see you, my friend. Always appreciate anyone popping in, no matter when they do. So I appreciate you. Let's see here. The great Mark D with a C. Fantastic friend of the show, one of our best buddies, and he's just so amazing in the chat there. He has a new YouTube channel. And here please sub and subscribe to his channel. He's just getting started. Also has joined us on the Global Geek Gang this past week, and is always welcome. Open invite there. So Mark D with the C, my brother, we appreciate you, buddy. And please, if you have not, please go and subscribe to his cool channel. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Pat S, my friend. All right. Well, appreciate you, man.
Great comments tonight. So much fun.
Fellow Louisianian, yes. He had to run out, but the great Canadian Spider-Man who does whatever a Canadian Spider-Man can. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, love you.
Another great Canadian, of course, is the extraordinary Rod Thunderheart. We appreciate you, man. And again, I cannot thank you enough, sir. I don't have the words for what you did there for last night at the great Overlord DC, the great Doomcock. By the way, shout out to Doomcock. And the off chance that you have heard any of this and you're actually hearing this right now, I love you, buddy. You've been a great friend to me, and we both love you. And if you did listen, I hope you did. And if you did, man, drop me a line. Let me know anything we got wrong that you would have changed. No, I'm just kidding. Because he knows his Star Trek, and we love Overlord DDD Doomcock there. DVD to this. Phantom Outsider. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for being here, sir. I had to call him Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete!
Here we go. The great Dr. Hercule Monkey. Who, again, thank you for that link.
Hey, that wasn't even long. You cheaped out.
I can't do the long. My voice will be destroyed.
Okay, I'll do it. Dr. Hercule Monkey.
Yours is better anyway. I like yours.
No, I love yours.
Doc Herc, what's up, Nat? Good to see you, but I appreciate you, man. And thanks again for that link to the 4D Man with Robert Lansing, everyone. I'm going to try to remember to go watch that. It's on YouTube. He's probably gone now, but he did pop in, so he gets a shout out because he's a good buddy and a good friend at Valhalla, too. Mark the Infinitely Tired. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, that's such a good name. Mark the Infinitely Tired.
And he's a good dude. He is a great comics fan, good friend of Valhalla and all the wonderful people over at Loki's. So,
yeah.
Snort.
Snortapoopus, Hubert.
I know I'm not that good with the name, but I still appreciate
He's a polar bear.
Appreciate you very much. Don't know if he's still here, but the great Keely Chow, Roll Tide, my friend.
Yeah.
I also don't know if this gentleman's here, but Zathras.
Yes.
Zathras, always good to see you, Zathras. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for coming in. Your comments were terrific tonight. Thank you for participating.
I don't know if he's wasting away again in Margaritaville. Look at that lost shaker of salt, but the great Parrot Head was here.
He was.
We appreciate you, Parrot Head.
Thank you, Parrot Head.
The Catman, D.D. Myers, was here. Always
he
appreciate
was.
It. Another friend.
Yeah.
James Caserta.
Yes.
I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much.
And so much participation tonight. He was live in the chat instead of podcasting. And wow, did I ever enjoy your company tonight, James Caserta. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments and interactions.
Absolutely. We really appreciate you. Brad Fisher, thank you for being here tonight, my friend.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Brad, thank you so much for supporting this channel and this show. I appreciate you so much. And you're hysterical. I love your comment at 15 minutes past the hour.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And where? Oh, I must have missed it.
Bye, all, and especially a special Elon punishment to anyone that wants it.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Doug 35, thank you. Phoenix Argus.
Yes.
Thank you for popping in. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. James Andrew Morrison, thank you for stopping in.
Yes.
We appreciate it. It's always great to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
And I think we've pretty much covered everyone now. That I hope we didn't miss anyone.
Doug? We got Doug.
Doug 35, yeah.
Yeah, Doug 35.
Doug, yeah. I think we covered everyone. I think we got everyone. So again, what a night I have just had, as I always do, a fantastic time. It is, of course, pretty much always, almost exclusively. Let's be honest, you guys, none of you hold the candle to the great Raquel, my first officer. So you always give me such a wonderful time. You're the greatest. But the chat, you ain't bad either. Now you got
I love you so much. There's nobody who I would rather spend my Saturday evenings with. I just think that you are just so smart and so knowledgeable and so fun to be around. I love your laugh. I love all of your voices. I adore you. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful space that you've created for all of us nerds and all of us geeks. On behalf of everyone in the chat and all of your subs, anyone who watches your programming, we just absolutely love you. And this is a very special and very cool space that you have created and cultivated. And everyone is just really enjoying themselves. So our hats off to you, Captain.
Thank you so much. I just wanted it I hope you didn't run off. I don't know how I missed it because I'm blind. I had it written down. I'm so sorry, JT Kirk. I cannot
How
forget
did we miss JT Kirk?
Because I'm
a kicked butt in the chat tonight, JT.
I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, JT Kirk. I had it written down. I write these names down, folks, because there's no way I would remember all these. And I missed some. So during the course of the show, anytime someone new pops in, I try to write it down. And I had you from the beginning, JT, and I apologize about that.
Yep.
JT Kirk, we really appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
And Scuba Pete says, preach it, Raquel. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? The thing is that I'm going to get up on a soapbox for 2 seconds here and just say this, that I think it's really awesome that streaming has opened up but to everyone, and that everyone gets to publish. But at the same time, it is so wonderful to be able to bring experts together and to create really like planned content, important content that people can sink their teeth into and discuss and draw information from. And I really think that that's what Clobby is doing here. He's moving his channel towards this this entire community of expertise, and it is delightful, it's engaging, it is so much fun, and everyone's having a blast. So Scuba Pete agrees with me, and you know what I gotta say there? Scuba Pete! Cardinal Sin just walked through the door.
Yep. Apollonie's Minion, hello, lovely to see you, dear. Thank you for popping in.
And Popper,
and of course the great Cardinal Sin. What's up, bro? Good to see you. We're on our way out, but it's good to see you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you both. And I think that we got all of our goodbyes in, and we had a great crowd here tonight. Thank you all so much. Go watch the 4D Man with Robert Lansing, everyone. I know I will. And,
James Caserta, yes, I am published. I have some academic stuff published in textbooks and at some academic and intellectual, like scholarly conferences and stuff like that. You can read that on academia.edu. But I write science fiction short stories, and they're very much reminiscent of the original Twilight Zone mixed with Edgar Allan Poe. So I write short stories, science fiction short stories, and you can get them on Amazon, and you can also get them through your Kindle device. Thank you so much for asking.
Eric and I both got the link up there, right there. So there you go. Thank you, Eric. Eric's the man.
Eric's faster than grease lightning. He would have won at the OK Corral. He would have shot everyone.
No question about it. Thank you all so much, everyone. We're going to play us out with our little intro outro thingy, our Clobbering Times intro outro, always courtesy of course, the great Stone Loki, whose channel I am a guest on every Tuesday night. Actually, sometimes it's his show, but we move it to we switch channels around. So I'm not sure which channel it'll be on Tuesday night, but the Comic Book Roundtable on Loki's Mornings of Mischief, 7 Kinds of Mischief, excuse me. And so Tuesday night, I'm also on that. That's 7 p.m. Central. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
See you next week.